Chapter 474. Set off. Swoosh. The shock wave from the explosion of the palm rushed towards Li Tongtian at an alarming speed, causing his expression to change drastically. Li Tongtian's strength and soul power were not weak, so he could naturally tell that the power of Ning Yu's palm was extremely strong. Of course, it was not the palm that was rushing towards him, but the shock wave from the explosion of the palm. Damn it! Li Tongtian couldn't help but curse as he looked at the shock wave that was approaching him. He had not recovered to his peak condition yet, so it was basically impossible for him to withstand the shock wave from the explosion of the palm. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Ning Yu rose from the ground and appeared in front of Li Tongtian. At the same time, Ning Yu's hands began to move in a rhythmic pattern. As Ning Yu's hands continued to move, the shock wave from the explosion in front of Li Tongtian seemed to be drawn in and gradually gathered around Ning Yu's palms. Boom! In the next moment, Ning Yu guided the shock wave from his hands, causing them to rush towards the passageway above the room. The shock wave collided with the barrier, and without any fancy moves, there was a loud explosion. Then, the shock wave and the barrier disappeared together. Whoosh! The moment the barrier disappeared, the expressions of the martial artists hiding in the surroundings changed drastically, and they immediately directed their auras in this direction. Dark Emperor, hurry up and enter the storage ring. When Ning Yu threw out the shockwave from his hands, he sent a voice transmission to the Dark Emperor. There will definitely be a large number of martial artists paying attention to this place later. In order to prevent you from being discovered, it's better for you to hide in the storage ring for a while. Swoosh! The Dark Emperor understood the situation he was in, and without any hesitation, he turned into an afterimage and entered the storage ring. Ning Yu, your ring. Seeing the Dark Emperor turn into an afterimage and enter the storage ring, Li Tongtian's mouth was slightly agape, and his face was filled with confusion. Although he was a supreme prodigy and had many heaven-grade magic treasures in his possession, he did not have a single one that could store living things. Shut up! Ning Yu's tone was cold as he said in a deep voice, "If you don't want to be exposed, don't speak for a while." Hearing Ning Yu's reprimanding tone, Li Tongtian revealed a look of displeasure. However, just as he was about to retort, his heart went cold, and he immediately shut his mouth. This was because he discovered that several powerful auras had already locked onto this room and were probing it without restraint. There was a black dog just now. Why is it gone now? This doesn't make sense. It's a living black dog. How could it disappear just like that? Even if we kill it and eat its meat, there will be dog bones left behind. After several powerful senses locked onto the room, they did not probe for too long before focusing their attention on the Dark Emperor. The corners of Ning Yu's mouth twitched involuntarily as he listened to the discussions of these powerful practitioners. Experts from the royal family were actually discussing a dog. If word of this got out, it would definitely cause a huge commotion in the capital. What kind of dog would it have to be for so many experts to be discussing it so enthusiastically? One of the practitioners did not go with the flow. His attention was on Ning Yu. More accurately, it was on the storage ring on Ning Yu's wrist. If I'm not wrong, it's a magic treasure that can store living things. The practitioner frowned, then shook his head and muttered, "Forget it. Let's wait until they enter the Ice Manor before making a move. If we make a move now, people might talk behind our backs." Sigh, it's all because of Li Tongtian. With that, the practitioner sighed softly and retracted his senses. The rest of the practitioners also retracted their senses when they noticed the practitioner's actions. The perception of these cultivators came and went quickly, almost completely disappearing in an instant. Phew! Feeling the many senses disappear, Ning Yu heaved a sigh of relief. After calming himself down, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "Li Tongtian, tell me about the Ice Manor." This trip to the Ice Manor was destined to be fraught with danger. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. What Ningyu needed to do now was to do everything he could to understand the Ice Manor and the royal family. The Ice Manor is a palace. Li Tongtian broke out in a cold sweat when those senses swept across the room unscrupulously just now. Because Li Tongtian realized that he was no match for the owner of all the senses. The Ice Manor is divided into the inner and outer residences. Li Tongtian explained, as long as you are a genius of the royal family, you can enter the outer residences to cultivate. But to enter the inner residences, you must obtain the emperor's approval. In other words, no matter how talented you are, as long as the emperor doesn't approve, you cannot enter the inner residences of the Ice Manor to cultivate. There are quite a lot of restrictions. Ningyu frowned and asked again, have you entered the inner residences? Li Tongtian shook his head and said, I've only stayed in the outer residences. As for the inner residences, I haven't entered. Alright, there are still 3 to 4 hours before daybreak. Use this time to rest well and try to recover to your peak tomorrow morning. Ningyu did not ask any more questions. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and started cultivating. Ningyu had successfully cultivated the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm. However, Ningyu had only cultivated the 6th form of the 9 purities supreme sword technique to the intermediate stage. If he could cultivate it to the advanced stage, Ningyu believed that he would be able to put up a fight against a martial artist of the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, 3 hours had passed. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the soul-breaking sword in Ningyu's hand through the passage above the room, Ningyu opened his eyes with a look of ecstasy. After 3 hours of sleepless cultivation, Ningyu had finally cultivated the 6th form of the 9 purities supreme sword technique, solitaire, to the advanced stage. With the advanced stage of solitaire and the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm, Ningyu was confident that he could take on a martial artist of the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Of course, it would be difficult to kill a martial artist of the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm alone unless Ningyu raised his cultivation to the early stage of the primal core stage. Whoosh! On the other side, Li Tongtian had also woken up. Li Tongtian had already recovered to his peak condition. It was as if he had become a different person. His mental state was excellent. Creak. At this moment, the door to the room was pushed open from the outside. Ningyu, Li Tongtian, follow me. The Emperor is waiting for you at the ice residence. Before the person arrived, the voice came first. Not long after, a figure slowly appeared in front of Ningyu and Li Tongtian. Old Tan. It was really a small world for them to bump into Old Tan again. Let's go. Since they were going to the ice residence, Ningyu and Li Tongtian did not linger. Instead, they rushed towards the ice residence ahead of Old Tan. Humph. It's not that easy to reach the ice residence. Chapter 475. Swoosh. 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 In the Imperial Palace, 3 figures were galloping. The first 2 were Ningyu and Li Tongtian, while the last one was Elder Tan. As Li Tongtian knew the way to Frost Manor, he didn't let Elder Tan lead the way. On the contrary, he and Ningyu left Elder Tan behind. To actually compete with me in speed. Looking up at Ningyu and Li Tongtian not far away, Elder Tan smiled. Fine, I'll let you know the speed of an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the Yuan Qi in Elder Tan's consciousness rumbled, and his speed increased by 30%. Elder Tan's speed was originally only half a beat slower than Ningyu and Li Tongtian. Now that his speed increased by 30%, he naturally caught up to Ningyu and Li Tongtian easily. Sigh, it's been a long time since I've exercised. Today is considered. After catching up to Ningyu, Elder Tan sighed. Just as he was about to mock them, he saw Ningyu and Li Tongtian's speed increase, leaving him behind again. Damn it! The actions of Ningyu and Li Tongtian caused Elder Tan's face to turn ashen as he clenched his fists. Swoosh! The next moment, Elder Tan gritted his teeth and increased his speed again. This time, Elder Tan's speed increased by more than twofold. With his speed doubled, Elder Tan caught up to Ning Yu and Li Tongtian for the second time. Li Tongtian, it's uncomfortable to have a fly following us. Let's speed up a little. Before Elder Tan could speak, Ning Yu turned to look at him and said, "We mustn't let His Majesty wait for too long. I'm so pissed." Hearing Ning Yu's words, Elder Tan was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Ning Yu was obviously looking down on him. Every time he increased his speed, Ning Yu would increase his speed. When he slowed down, Ning Yu would slow down as well. In any case, the distance between him and Ning Yu was always so long. The aunt could endure it, but the uncle couldn't. What if he couldn't bear it? Chase. That was what Elder Tan was thinking at the moment. In order to catch up to Ning Yu and Li Tongtian, Old Tan did not hesitate to burn his yuan qi to increase his speed. In the end, he even burned his blood essence. Unfortunately, even if he burned his soul force, he would not be able to catch up to Ning Yu. Whoosh! However, after flying for 3 minutes, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian stopped in their track. Ha ha ha, I've finally caught up? Seeing Ning Yu and Li Tongtian stop, Elder Tan thought that they had expended too much essence qi and wanted to replenish it. However, when he saw the 3 silhouettes in front of Ning Yu, his eyes were filled with surprise. Because Elder Tan recognized the 3 martial artists blocking Ning Yu's path, and he was very familiar with them. This is the Imperial Palace, not a place for you to behave atrociously. Among the 3 martial artists, 2 were fat and 1 was skinny. After blocking Ning Yu and Li Tongtian's path, one of the fat men berated, "Hurry up and tell us your names, genders, residences, and what you're going to do. Just tell us all the random stuff." "What if I don't?" Ning Yu said in a low voice. When he saw that the path to Ice Manor was blocked, Ning Yu's first thought was that someone was here to cause trouble. Indeed, the 3 martial artists in front of him were here to cause trouble. The 3 of them did not have very high levels of cultivation. The skinny one was only at the pinnacle of the primal core stage. As for the other 2 fat men, one was at the late primal core stage, and the other was at the mid-primal core stage. The fat man who had first berated Ning Yu was at the mid-primal core stage. "Who are you? Why should I tell you these things?" Ning Yu stared at them with interest after learning the cultivation of the martial artists in front of him. "Oh, you're quite stubborn, to dare to be so arrogant in front of the 3 of us." The late primal core fat man raised an eyebrow and laughed sinisterly. "Listen up, kid, we are—" All right, I don't want to know who you are, and I don't care." Ning Yu felt that there was no point in staying here with them, so he waved his hand and interrupted the fat man. "We'll never meet again." With that, Ning Yu moved again, intending to bypass them and head towards Ice Manor. "I gave you face, but you don't want it. You've offended the Emperor, you're destined to spend the rest of your life in bed." However, as soon as Ning Yu reached the late primal core fat man, his eyes turned cold, and he immediately retreated. This was because the late primal core fat man had attacked instantly, using his fat fist to punch Ning Yu's chest. When he made his move, the fat of the late primal core stage fatty was trembling. Seeing Ning Yu retreat, the other mid-primal core fat man also entered the fray, using his round fat to attack Ning Yu. "I gave you face, but you don't want it." Even a clay figurine had some anger, not to mention a living person like Ning Yu. After a cold snort, Ning Yu's hands moved continuously, and in a split second, he sent out 2 palm prints. Smack! Smack! 2 palm prints landed on the cheeks of the 2 fat men, and 5 bloody marks immediately appeared on their faces. "How dare you hit me?" The 2 fat men seemed to have been beaten senseless, and they stood there in a daze. Pointing at their own noses, they asked, "Do you know my father's name? What does your father's name have to do with me?" Ning Yu did not care what their father's name was. They could not all be called Li Gang, right? They are twins, surnamed Li, and their father is Li Gang. Next to him, the skinny peak primal core cultivator's words made Ningyu almost vomit his bile out. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Swoosh. Seeing that Ningyu was stunned, the thin warrior's lips curled up into a smile. In the next moment, the thin warrior took advantage of Ningyu's moment of shock, clenched his hand into a fist, and with a violent gust of yuan qi, he viciously punched towards Ningyu's head. The thin warrior was a peak primal core warrior, and he was an expert in sneak attacks. If he had not been prepared, even an early yin-yang warrior would have fallen to his sneak attack. Bang! However, just as the thin warrior's fist arrived in front of Ningyu, Ningyu raised his right leg and kicked the thin warrior in the chest. The huge force from the chest caused the thin warrior's face to contort, and his body to fly backwards. A crisp sound rang out. The skinny cultivator hit the ground and fell face first onto the ground. Ha ha ha! Seeing the thin warrior fall to the ground, Tan Lao laughed hysterically and immediately sent a voice transmission to Ningyu. Ningyu, you are finished this time. To tell you the truth, the fathers of the three of them are top-notch in the Great Xia Kingdom. The twins' father is General Weiwu of the Great Xia Kingdom, and he is at the peak of the early yin-yang realm. The thin warrior's father is General Hu Ben of the Great Xia Kingdom, and he is at the middle stage of the yin-yang realm. Not only are they strong, but they also have powerful backers behind them. How could they let you off after you injured their sons? That's right, I forgot to tell you something. General Weiwu and General Hu Ben are both in the palace today. If I didn't guess wrongly, they should be. Chapter 476. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as Old Tan's voice fell, Ningyu saw two figures dashing over from afar. The two figures were very fast, and they arrived almost in the blink of an eye. One is at the peak of the early stage yin-yang realm, and the other is at the mid-stage yin-yang realm. Sensing the powerful aura exuding from the two martial artists in front of him, Ningyu's face turned slightly solemn. He said in a deep voice, "It seems that Old Tan is right. I wonder if they are the two generals, Might Wu and Hu Ben." The reason why Ningyu was able to discover the cultivation of the two martial artists at a glance was because they released their aura without holding back. "You're Ningyu." The middle-aged man at the peak of the early stage yin-yang realm stared at Ningyu and said in a sinister tone, "You injured my two sons, so leave an arm behind." "How can an arm be enough? In my opinion, you should at least break both of his legs." The middle stage yin-yang realm berated. If we hadn't discovered it in time, who knows what kind of heartless things Ningyu would have done now. "Forget it, I'll make the first move and break one of his arms." The martial artist at the peak of the early stage yin-yang realm waved his hand and rose from the ground. Swoosh. He turned into a shadow and appeared beside Ningyu in an instant. Crack. In the next instant, Ningyu only heard a cracking sound beside him. Immediately, he did not dare to be negligent. He quickly wrapped his yuan qi around his fist and punched out. Boom! Ningyu's fist collided with the fist of the early stage yin-yang realm martial artist. What happened next was somewhat out of the expectations of the martial artists present. It was especially so for Old Tan and the middle stage yin-yang realm martial artists. Both of them stood rooted to the ground, staring at Ningyu with disbelief written all over their faces. Gulp! A moment later, the middle stage yin-yang realm Qian, who swallowed a mouthful of saliva with a very interesting expression on his face. He knew Li Gang's strength very well. Although Li Gang wasn't as strong as him, he wasn't much weaker. Ningyu was able to fight Li Gang to a draw. Didn't that mean that it was extremely likely that he would lose to Ningyu as well? Thinking of this, Qian Hu's expression completely darkened. As a middle-stage yin-yang realm martial artist, if he couldn't even subdue Ningyu, who was in the late stage of true martial realm, how could he maintain his foothold in the capital? Therefore, in Qian Hu's heart, even if he had to use his trump card, he had to teach Ningyu a lesson. Damn it! Damn it! Compared to Qian Hu's shock, Old Tan was much less shocked. After all, He had fought with Ningyu before and knew Ningyu's true strength. However, he had never expected that Ningyu could fight Li Gang, who was at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm, to a draw. Although Li Gang's cultivation was not high, he was extremely powerful. It could be said that even two of him might not be able to defeat Li Gang. Humph. After defeating Li Gang, there's still Qian Hu. I don't believe that you can defeat Qian Hu as well, Old Tan snorted coldly and said sinisterly. In short, from Old Tan's point of view, Ningyu would definitely suffer a little this time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to overcome this obstacle. Swoosh. At this moment, Qian Hu rose from the ground and rushed towards Ningyu. Being on the battlefield all year round, Qian Hu had developed a very good habit. That was to never underestimate anyone, even if that martial artist had nothing and was weak. There was another point that Qian Hu pursued. If he could fight two against one, he would never fight one-on-one. In this aspect, he was very similar to Ningyu. Swoosh. However, just as Ningyu was about to make a move, he saw a figure flash past in front of him. This figure was none other than Li Tongtian. Li Tongtian flicked his sleeves and a black token appeared in his hand. The next moment, Li Tongtian raised the black token in his hand and paused in front of Qian Hu for a second before putting it away. Gasp! Seeing the token in Li Tongtian's hand, Qian Hu could not help but suck in a breath of cold air despite his powerful strength. At this moment, another thought popped up in his mind. Li Tongtian could not be offended. At the very least, he could not. D***eminent, the ninth prince is pushing me into a pit of fire. Qian Hu's face darkened. Not long after, he gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, Li Gang, let's retreat. Retreat? Why should we retreat? Li Gang still wanted to regain his dignity. He would definitely not be willing to leave now. We can't afford to offend the martial artist next to Ningyu. After saying that, Qian Hu grabbed the skinny martial artist in his hand and rose from the ground, rushing into the distance. Seeing that Qian Hu had left, Li Gang could only glare at Ningyu before dragging his two fat sons and disappearing. F***ck. Old Tan was a little dumbfounded as he looked at the backs of Qian Hu and the rest. Initially, he thought that Ningyu would have to suffer a little. After all, Ningyu had injured the sons of two generals. Who would have thought that everything would end just as quickly as it came? Qian Hu and Li Gang didn't know what had gotten into them, but they chose to leave right away. They didn't even say a word. Based on Old Tan's understanding of Qian Hu and the rest, this was not their style. Pill. Ningyu's brows were tightly knitted as a look of confusion appeared on his face. When Li Tongtian took out the black token, Ningyu noticed that there was a word on it. It was the word pill. As for the rest of the words, Ningyu could not see them clearly for the time being. Ningyu, we've wasted so much time here. Let's hurry up and leave, Li Tongtian said in a low voice. Let's go. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. When Li Tongtian mentioned that he wanted to leave, he stomped on the ground and dashed towards the ice manor. Li Tongtian did not dare to delay. After Ningyu left, he immediately leaped up and followed closely behind. In the beginning, Ningyu and Li Tongtian's speed was not slow. In fact, it could be described as terrifying. However, as they got closer to Ice Manor, Ningyu and Li Tongtian's speed became slower and slower. In the end, they just walked. When we reach Ice Manor later, the two of you must remember not to make too much noise and cause trouble. Don't. 10 minutes after Ningyu and Li Tongtian slowed down, Old Tan caught up with them. In order to show his authority, Old Tan coughed dryly. Following that, Old Tan talked nonstop as if he did not know what fatigue was. Ningyu and Li Tongtian only chose to listen to the main point. The rest were filtered out. I've said everything that needs to be said. Good luck. After about 15 minutes, Old Tan finally stopped. He extended his palm and pointed at the wooden door in front of him. Open this wooden door and you'll be considered to have entered Ice Manor. As soon as he finished speaking, Old Tan turned to leave. "Old Tan, didn't you say that His Majesty was waiting for us at Ice Manor?" Ning Yu called out to Old Tan. "Why didn't I see him here? Who do you think His Majesty is? Why would he be here to welcome you?" Chapter 477. The Three Guardians. I can see the Emperor if I enter the inner palace? Ning Yu frowned slightly when he heard Old Tan's words, and a puzzled expression appeared on his face. Li Tongtian had said that he had to get the Emperor's permission to enter the inner palace. Now Elder Tan was saying that he could only see the Emperor if he entered the inner palace. Why? However, when Ning Yu wanted to continue asking, he realized that Elder Tan had already disappeared. "Ning Yu, are you going in or not?" Just then Li Tongtian asked. Li Tongtian wasn't sure if he wanted to enter the Ice Manor either, so he wanted to ask Ning Yu for his opinion. "Of course I'm going in." Ning Yu's eyes turned cold as he pushed open the wooden door and walked in. Li Tongtian hesitated as he watched Ning Yu enter the Ice Manor, but he quickly followed. Swoosh! Just as Ning Yu stepped through the wooden door, a cold glint shot towards him. The sudden change caused Ning Yu's expression to change slightly. He didn't have the time to think and immediately retreated. Crack! In the next moment, a clear cracking sound resounded. Ning Yu looked back at the wooden door that had been smashed into smithereens and gasped. Luckily, he had dodged in time, or he would have ended up like the wooden door. "Welcome, both of you. This is the outer palace of Ice Manor. If you can defeat me, you will pass the test and enter the inner palace." Before Ning Yu could calm down from the shock, he saw a young man walking towards him step by step from a short distance away. Ning Yu's expression changed as he looked at the young man, because he sensed a strong aura of danger from the young man's body. This meant that the young man was extremely powerful. Pinnacle of the primal core stage, however, the young man was only at the pinnacle of the primal core stage. Ning Yu, he is one of the three guardians of the outer palace of Ice Manor. Li Tongtian walked over and said in a low voice, "Three great protectors?" Ning Yu was taken aback and asked doubtfully. "That's right." Li Tongtian nodded and said, "There are three guardians in the outer palace of the Ice Mansion. It is said that their cultivation level has always been at the pinnacle of the primal core stage, but their true strength is unparalleled. There were three early Yin-Yang realm martial artists who tried to break into Frost Mansion. Frost Mansion only sent out one outer mansion guardian to capture the three early Yin-Yang realm martial artists alive. Pa, pa, pa. As soon as Li Tongtian finished speaking, the young man clapped his hands and said with a faint smile, "Looks like you know a lot about Frost Manor." However, after that, the young man changed the topic and said gloomily, "If you want to enter the outer palace, you must pass through me. Cover your ears." When the young man's last sentence fell, Ning Yu's expression changed greatly, and he hurriedly covered his ears. Ning Yu had just covered his ears when he saw Li Tongtian hugging his head with both hands, looking extremely pained. "Damn it!" Li Tongtian's pained expression obviously agitated Ning Yu. In the next instant, he pushed off the ground with both feet and like a cheetah, he appeared in front of the young man in an instant. Whoosh! Following that, Ning Yu's fist brought with it a violent gust of yuan qi, and he viciously punched the young man's chest. Seeing Ning Yu's sudden attack, the young man raised his eyelids slightly, and an evil smile appeared on his lips. Then, the young man punched out and his fist collided with Ning Yu's. Bang! Before the two fists collided, the young man's expression was very relaxed, and even a little playful. However, after the two fists collided, the young man's expression changed drastically, and he wanted to retract his fist. "Humph! How dare you use sound wave techniques? What a vicious heart! How could Ning Yu let this young man go?" With a cold snort, he clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the young man's ear. There were many types of sound wave techniques, but no matter which one it was, if one was not prepared, it would cause great damage to a martial artist. It could be said that if not for Ning Yu's timely attack, Li Tongtian might have lost his hearing. Whoosh, whoosh. However, before Ning Yu's fist could land on the young man's ear, two figures attacked from afar. These two figures were filled with violent yuan qi. The moment they appeared, they launched a powerful attack on Ning Yu. However, these two martial artists had a purpose in their attack. They wanted to force Ning Yu to retreat and thus save the young man. Since you want to play, I'll play with you this time. Ning Yu gritted his teeth, and immediately took out the soul-severing sword. At the same time, the yuan qi in his mind was frantically injected into the soul-severing sword. Buzz. Solitaire. After the soul-severing sword vibrated to a certain extent, Ning Yu chopped down with his wrist. In an instant, two shocking sword waves formed and attacked the two martial artists who had just appeared. Oh no! The two martial artists who had just appeared were not idiot. They could naturally sense the power of the sword wave. Helpless, in order to ensure their own safety, they could only choose to retreat. Before the two of them could retreat a few steps, they heard a scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. Third brother. Turning their heads to see the man lying on the ground, the two martial artists who had just appeared opened their mouths in shock. This was because the man lying on the ground was none other than the young man. Bang! Bang! However, the two of them seemed to have forgotten that they had been targeted by the sword wave. The outcome was obvious. They were hit by solitaire. The two martial artists each spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Their faces were a little pale. Careless, completely careless. Ning Yu was only at the late stage of the true martial realm. With the strength of the three of them, they could have easily defeated Ning Yu. Instead of doing such an easy task, they had to put on a show and let third brother deal with Ning Yu, resulting in their failure. Ning Yu, you defeated the three of them just like that? What had happened in such a short period of time had completely exceeded Li Tongtian's expectations. More accurately, he had not expected Ning Yu to be able to defeat the three guardians of the Ice Mansion's outer mansion so easily. One had to know that the three guardians of the Ice Mansion's outer mansion were extremely powerful. If they joined forces, they could even fight against a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. In that case, did that mean that Ning Yu could also fight against a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist? Thinking of this, Li Tongtian's eyes revealed an extremely shocked expression. High alchemy skills and strong martial arts skills. What kind of monster was Ning Yu? Li Tongtian, don't just stand there. Let's hurry to the Ice Mansion's inner mansion. Just as Li Tongtian was in a daze, Ning Yu's voice rang in his ear. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Li Tongtian was slightly taken aback. Lifting his head, he saw that Ning Yu had already started walking towards the Ice Mansion's inner mansion. This time, Li Tongtian did not hesitate and hurried to catch up with him. With such a display of strength the moment they entered the Ice Mansion, who knew what kind of danger they would face when they entered the inner mansion. Chapter 478. Freezing Silver Needles, Your Majesty, are you really going to let Ning Yu and Li Tongtian stay in the inner palace for a day and a night? In a room in the inner palace of the Ice Mansion, there was a crystal barrier on the wall. What had happened in the outer palace of the Ice Mansion was reflected on the crystal barrier, as if history was repeating itself. Towards the end, an elder in the room said in a deep voice, "Give me some more time, I can definitely break the formation. You may leave first, I have my own arrangements for this." Beside the elder, Ouyangba closed his eyes and waved his hand. What you need to do now is to open the door to the inner palace of the Ice Mansion and let Ning Yu and Li Tongtian in. Hearing Ouyangba's words, the elder's chest heaved up and down unwillingly. However, this unwillingness did not show on the elder's face. Understood. After responding, the elder slowly left the room. Creak. After the elder closed the door, Ouyangba's lips curled into an evil smile. After probing for so long, the real business is finally here. I hope you won't disappoint me, otherwise. Ouyangba did not finish his sentence, but the meaning was clear. At the same time, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian arrived at the entrance of the inner palace of the Ice Mansion. Looking at the stone door before him, Ning Yu frowned slightly, feeling slightly surprised. This was because he realized that when his senses came into contact with the stone door, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean, and was directly swallowed by the stone door. Swallowing senses was enough to prove the uniqueness of the stone door before him. Creak. However, Ning Yu's shock did not last long before he was attracted by the deep sound of the stone door opening. Not long after, the stone door was opened from the inside. After the stone door opened, an elder slowly walked out from inside. Seeing the elder, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat and he had a bad feeling. This was because he could clearly sense a hint of coldness on the old man's face. This was the first time he had met the elder, right? Why would the elder be hostile towards him? Could it be that the old man was the guardian of the Ice Mansion's inner mansion, and the reason he came out this time was to stop him from entering the Ice Mansion's inner mansion? Ning Yu, Li Tongtian, since you've passed the alchemy and martial arts tests set up by the Emperor, you can stay in the inner palace of Ice Mansion for a day and a night. The old man suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a low voice, however, it is not easy to enter the inner palace of Frozen Mansion. You will need to pass my test. There's a test? Ning Yu frowned and pondered for a moment before saying something that surprised the old man. If that's the case, then we'll take our leave. With that, Ning Yu turned around and left. He had no intention of staying. Ning Yu's actions caused the old man to be slightly taken aback. Soon after, he sneered and said, I don't believe that you really want to leave Ice Manor. In the old man's opinion, Ning Yu was just saying it. There was no way he would leave the Ice Mansion. Whoosh. However, as Ning Yu walked further and further away from him, the old man finally changed his expression. Ning Yu wouldn't really leave the Ice Mansion, would he? If Ning Yu really left Ice Mansion, then he would not be able to withstand the Emperor's wrath. Damn it! Cursing, the old man rose from the ground and appeared in front of Ning Yu in an instant, blocking Ning Yu's path. There's no more test. You can enter the inner palace of Ice Mansion unconditionally, the old man said through gritted teeth, his expression extremely rich. Hearing this, Ning Yu stopped. If that's the case. Turning around, Ning Yu said to the old man, Thank you. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Yu strode toward the stone door. Ning Yu, could this be a trap? Li Tongtian was still a little worried and asked in a low voice. When we enter the inner palace later, we will leave this place as fast as we can, Ning Yu said in a low voice. How fast? As fast as we can. Whoosh. In the next moment, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian moved and entered the inner palace. When he saw Ning Yu and Li Tongtian enter the stone door, the corners of the elder's mouth curled up and he sneered. I have opened the stone door. As for whether you can successfully reach the Emperor, that will depend on your luck. Whoosh, whoosh. As the old man's cold laughter faded, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian increased their speed, desperately trying to get away from the stone door. Ding, ding. However, even though Ning Yu and Li Tongtian pushed their speed to the limit, they were still half a beat too slow. Suddenly, two beams of cold light shot out from behind the stone door, aiming for their heads. At this critical juncture, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian both took out a flying sword and slashed at the cold beams. Two crisp sounds rang out and the cold beams fell to the ground. Silver needles? Staring at the two silver needles on the ground, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian looked at each other in horror. Ice Soul silver needles. Almost at the same time, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian shouted. The Ice Soul silver needles were heaven upper-grade magical treasures and were extremely powerful. To put it more accurately, the Ice Soul silver needles contained poison, which was why they were so powerful. The two Ice Soul silver needles on the ground could easily injure a Yin-Yang realm early-stage martial artist. If a Yin-Yang realm early-stage martial artist did not receive treatment in time, he could very well lose his life. The more they thought about it, the more terrifying it was. At this moment, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian's hearts were filled with fear. Luckily, they reacted in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. Count yourselves lucky. But when you come out, you won't be so lucky anymore. Outside the stone door, the old man used a special method to see the 2 ice soul silver needles on the ground. He could not help but clench his fists tightly. Then, the old man tore through the air and disappeared. Ningyu, let's leave quickly. Li Tongtian was afraid that the ice soul silver needles would attack the stone door again. He did not want to stay here for a moment longer. Don't rush. I have a use for these 2 ice soul silver needles. Ningyu did not leave immediately. Instead, he took 2 steps forward and kept the ice soul silver needles. The ice soul silver needles were no longer poisonous. They only had the hardness of a heaven upper-grade magical treasure. Alright, let's go see the Emperor now. After keeping the ice soul silver needles, Ningyu walked forward. Ningyu, do you know where the Emperor is? Li Tongtian was stunned and asked. Of course I do. Ningyu kept him in suspense and smiled. Li Tongtian followed behind Ningyu doubtfully. He did not know if he could find the Emperor. After a while, they stopped in front of a house. Your Majesty, we have arrived. Can we go in? After stopping, Ningyu asked in a clear voice. Hee, you are indeed a young talent. You have arrived at the Ice Manor so quickly. A laugh came from the room. Come in, the door is open. Let's go. Hearing the words coming from the room, Ningyu did not hesitate. He went to the door and pushed it open. I don't believe that the Emperor would dare to do anything to me. Chapter 479. Shielding Senses. You guys are much faster than I expected. Inside the room, Ouyangba smiled when he saw Ningyu and Li Tongtian walking in. Ouyangba was well aware of the dangers that Ningyu and Li Tongtian had encountered along the way. He had even arranged some of them himself. Initially, he thought that no matter how strong Ningyu and Li Tongtian were, they would only arrive here after half an hour. Who would have thought that Ningyu and Li Tongtian would arrive so quickly? No wonder he was shocked. Your Majesty, you're not going to let us stay here for a day and a night, are you? Ningyu looked around the room and said with a frown, This place isn't very helpful for cultivation. Although the vitality in this room was relatively dense, it was only 2 to 3 times denser than the outside world. It was a far cry from the Dan Marshall Pool. Just like the Dan Marshall Pool, the Ice Mansion was a sacred place for cultivation. With such a low density of vitality, it was at most equivalent to the forbidden area of a second-rate clan. Calling it a sacred place for cultivation was unworthy of its name. Of course not. Ouyangba shook his head and said, This room is only the entrance to the real Ice Mansion. As he spoke, Ouyangba came to the desk and touched it with his palm. Creak. Following that, a creaking sound was heard. The wall opposite Ningyu suddenly caved in. Gasp. As soon as the wall caved in, Ningyu's heart was in turmoil. His entire body was trembling uncontrollably. Ningyu, what's wrong? Li Tongtian asked confusedly when he saw Ningyu's reaction. Li Tongtian knew that with Ningyu's strength, there was no way he would be frightened by a wall caved in. I'm fine. Ningyu took a deep breath and tried his best to calm himself down. Li Tongtian was right. A wall caved in was naturally not enough to frighten Ningyu. The reason why Ningyu was alarmed was because the Red Devil had told him that a golden crystal ball in his storage ring was glowing. The golden crystal ball was obtained by Ningyu when he was in Danwu College. To be more precise, he had obtained it from the hands of the first dean of Danwu College, Wei Zongtian, in the Danwu Pool. Wei Zongtian's words were still fresh in Ningyu's mind. This crystal ball has a special characteristic. As long as you get close to the real Wuqi realm, it will emit a golden light. Danwu College had the Dan Pool and the Marshall Pool. However, the Dan Pool was still around, while the real Marshall Pool was missing. The purpose of the golden crystal ball was to find the real Wuqi. Is the real Wuqi realm in here? Ningyu stared at the tunnel that appeared because of the hole in the wall. There's a chance. Ning Yu's action caused Ouyangba's eyes to flicker with excitement. However, the excitement disappeared as soon as it appeared. No one noticed it. The next moment, Ouyangba said in a deep voice, "When we enter the tunnel later, remember to follow behind me. Don't touch anything." Ouyangba took the lead and entered the tunnel as soon as he finished speaking. Behind him, Ning Yu and Li Tongtian exchanged glances with one another before following closely behind him. Cold. Very cold. Extremely cold. The moment they entered the tunnel, Ning Yu felt a chill assaulting him. This is the initial chill. You'll be fine as long as you can endure it. Ouyangba's words echoed in Ning Yu's ears in a timely manner. Hearing this, Ning Yu frowned slightly. He immediately unleashed his qi and wrapped it around his body. Whoosh, whoosh. A sizzling sound was heard as the chill and the qi came into contact. However, after the sound, the chill on Ning Yu's body was swept away and completely disappeared. Seeing that Ning Yu's action was effective, Li Tongtian also unleashed his qi and wrapped it around his body. Whoosh, whoosh. Obviously, Li Tongtian had also managed to resist the terrifying chill. Speed up. After passing through the area where the chill was, Ouyangba yelled in a deep voice, "There's a sea of fire ahead. You have to pass through it within 3 minutes." Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Ouyangba increased his speed and disappeared in an instant. Looking at the sea of fire in front of him, Ning Yu hesitated for a moment before he clenched his teeth and charged forward. As for Li Tongtian, he also increased his speed to the maximum in an attempt to pass through it as soon as possible. Hot. Very hot. Extremely hot. The moment he entered the sea of fire, Ning Yu felt a terrifying scorching aura coming at him, causing him to feel suffocated. Luckily, Ning Yu's qi was more vigorous. He quickly dispersed the scorching aura and accelerated with all his might. In the first minute, Ning Yu had gone through 1/3 of the journey. In the second minute, Ning Yu had gone through 2/3 of the journey. In the third minute, Ning Yu dashed out of the sea of fire. This, after coming out of the sea of fire, Ning Yu was stunned on the spot. His eyes were wide open and his face was filled with confusion. In front of him was a huge pond. The water in the pond was milky white. A cultivator was standing in front of the pond. It was none other than Ouyangba, the current emperor. Thereafter, Ning Yu looked left and right. However, he did not see Li Tongtian. Could it be that Li Tongtian was killed? At the thought of this, Ning Yu's expression turned gloomy and he said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, I want to know where Li Tongtian is now." I forgot to tell you. There are 2 ponds in the Ice Manor. One is here and the other is where Li Tongtian went. Ouyangba was not angry at Ning Yu's question. Instead, he smiled and said, "Don't worry. Li Tongtian's identity is rather special. I can't possibly kill him." Ning Yu was stunned and asked, "Who exactly is Li Tongtian?" "I can't tell you that for now." Ouyangba shook his head and said, "If you want to know Li Tongtian's real identity, you can ask him yourself when you leave this place." Although that was what Ouyangba said, there was something that he did not say. "Once you've used up your usefulness, you can have a good rest." Ning Yu had no idea what Ouyangba was thinking. His gaze was locked onto the pond in front of him. At the same time, Ning Yu unleashed his senses to investigate the bottom of the pond. "Don't waste your energy. You won't be able to reach the bottom of the pond unless you enter it," Ouyangba calmly said as if he knew what Ning Yu was trying to do. "It's because there's a protective barrier at the top of the pond. The barrier is specifically designed to block the senses." "I see. It seems like the barrier is similar to the stone door at the entrance of the inner palace." After hearing Ouyangba's explanation, Ning Yu finally came to a realization. Not long ago, when his senses came into contact with the stone door, it was devoured. This time, although his senses were not devoured, they could not penetrate it at all. "I'm leaving. Good luck." At that instant, Ouyangba smiled at Ning Yu and said, I'll be back in a day and night. I hope your strength will improve significantly by then. Crack. Chapter 480. The bottom of the pool. It's highly possible that the real martial pool is at the bottom of this pool. After Ouyangba left, Ningyu stared at the misty pool in front of him with a solemn expression. He did not enter the pool right away. Ningyu was not a fool. Ouyangba had set up such an ingenious trap and had gone through so much trouble to lure him to the ice mansion, and even to this pond. There must be a deeper meaning to it. As for what Ouyangba was planning, Ningyu had no idea. However, there was one thing Ningyu was sure about. The reason why Ouyangba had lured him here must be related to the real martial pool. Forget it. I'm already here. If I don't go in, I might arouse Ouyangba's suspicion. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu took a deep breath, exerted a little force in his legs, and leaped up. Plop! The next moment, Ningyu jumped into the pool. The vitality is so rich. With his lower body submerged in the pool, Ningyu was shocked. The density of the essence energy in this pool was not the slightest bit inferior to the Danwu Academy's martial pool back then. Of course, the martial pool in Danwu College was not the real martial pool, so the vitality was not very rich. However, it was different here. It was the sacred cultivation ground of the royal family. If the vitality was not as rich as the fake martial pool, wouldn't it be embarrassing? I can't waste the time to cultivate here for a day and a night. Let's focus on cultivation first. Ningyu did not think about the real martial pool for the time being. He lowered his body slightly and started cultivating the spirit transformation technique. Currently, Ningyu was only at the late stage of the true martial realm. If he made good use of this day and night, he could easily advance to the peak of the true martial realm. However, in order to break through to the Yuan Dan realm, he would need the help of elixirs. It's time to refine an energy transformation pill, Ningyu thought to himself while cultivating. The energy transformation pill was a peak 5th grade pill. It was a necessary pill for a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm to advance to the Yuan Dan realm. A low-grade origin transformation pill could increase the success rate of a peak true martial realm martial artist charging into the origin core realm by 10%. Middle-grade essence transformation pills could increase the success rate by 20%. High-grade and top-grade origin transformation pills, on the other hand, could increase a true martial realm martial artist's success rate of breaking through to the Yuan Dan realm by 30% to 50%. As for the Transcendent Yuan Transformation Pill, it could even allow a mediocre true martial stage pinnacle martial artist to directly advance to the primal core stage. Buzz. Ningyu temporarily put aside the matter of the transforming Yuan pill and began to circulate the transforming spirit art, fully immersing himself in cultivation. Following the guidance of the spirit transformation art, strands of essence qi entered Ningyu's body from his palm before being transferred to his sea of consciousness. In Ningyu's sea of consciousness, there were a total of 4 virtual golden cores. Each virtual golden core had a very large capacity. If he wanted to fill them all, he would have to rely on the spiritual transformation technique. Fortunately, Ningyu had cultivated the spirit transformation method to the 4th level, otherwise, it would have taken a lot of time just to fill the golden core. 2 hours later, Ningyu had filled up all 4 virtual golden cores. After filling up all 4 virtual golden cores, the next step was to cultivate and break through to the true martial realm pinnacle. He sure is patient, to be able to calm his heart down and cultivate at this time. While Ningyu was breaking through to the true martial realm pinnacle, in a certain room in the Ice Mansion's inner mansion, a man was sitting on a chair, his fingers lightly tapping on the table. This man was none other than the Xia Kingdom's emperor, Ouyangba. Now, I don't want to kill you. If you can help me break the formation at the bottom of the pool, I can spare your life. Ouyangba murmured, You may be spared from death, but you cannot escape punishment. When you come out, I will let you follow higher and accompany him to West Mountain City. Pa. Pa. In the Ice Mansion's inner mansion, Ning Yu was in the pool. Suddenly, two muffled sounds were heard. Then, Ning Yu suddenly opened his eyes with a joyful look on his face. After 4 hours of hard work, the yuan qi in 2 of the virtual golden cores had skyrocketed to the limit, and they could no longer contain even a trace of yuan qi. Ning Yu was very clear that as long as the remaining 2 virtual golden cores had the same amount of yuan qi as the previous 2, he was 90% sure that he could break through to the true martial realm pinnacle. Pa. Pa. After another 4 hours, when 2 muffled sounds were heard, Ning Yu split his soul force into 4 and stabbed at the 4 virtual golden cores. Bang! 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 The moment the soul force touched the virtual golden cores, it entered the virtual golden cores. Following that, 4 crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Who? Hearing such pleasant sounds, Ning Yu let out a long breath. Peak of the true martial realm. At this moment, Ning Yu had unsurprisingly advanced to the true martial realm pinnacle. Successfully advancing to the true martial realm pinnacle did not make Ning Yu the slightest bit excited. The martial artists he was facing now were either at the primal core realm or the yin-yang realm. He might even encounter martial artists at the yin-yang realm intermediate stage. Therefore, even advancing to the true martial realm pinnacle was not enough to make Ning Yu excited. The martial artists he would meet in the future would only get stronger and stronger. Not to mention the true martial realm pinnacle, even the primal core realm cultivation would not be enough. Splash! After advancing to the true martial realm pinnacle, Ning Yu separated a wisp of yuan qi and wrapped it around his body, then sank to the bottom of the pool. In fact, when he entered the pool, the Hong Mo sent back a message saying that the light from the golden crystal ball was getting more and more dazzling, and it even had the urge to rush out of the storage ring. It could be said that if the Hong Mo had not firmly controlled the crystal ball, it might have already rushed out of the storage ring. Hong Mo, release the crystal ball. I want to see what it wants to do. As he rushed to the bottom of the pool, Ning Yu transmitted his voice to the Hong Mo understood. In the storage ring, the Hong Mo did not want to look at the crystal ball for a long time. Now that Ning Yu had spoken, he directly released his control of the crystal ball. Sun Jiangwen had reached a critical moment in setting up the array formation. As long as the array formation could be set up properly, it meant that Ning Yu would have a few more yin-yang realm fighters. As for the Hong Mo, he was responsible for helping Sun Jiangwen set up the array formation. Due to controlling the crystal ball, the Hong Mo did not pay much attention to the array formation, which led to some problems in the array formation. Fortunately, Ning Yu had spoken, allowing the Hong Mo to devote himself to setting up the array formation. Swoosh! The crystal ball was out of the Hong Mo's control, like a fish in the sea, and it was abnormally excited. After a short period of excitement, the crystal ball drilled to the bottom of the pool at an extremely shocking speed. The speed of the crystal ball was so fast that even Ning Yu couldn't react. Damn it! Ning Yu did not expect the crystal ball to be so fast. He cursed in his heart and immediately wrapped yuan qi around his feet. He raised his speed to the limit and chased after the crystal ball. The crystal ball was very fast, but Ning Yu, who had advanced to the true martial realm, was not slow either. In just 3 seconds, Ning Yu caught up with the crystal ball. F***CK. After catching up with the crystal ball, Ning Yu was just about to use a spell to retrieve it, but his eyes were wide open as he stared at the crystal ball in front of him. Chapter 481. Golden Box. The crystal ball floated at the bottom of the pool, and there was a red barrier opposite it. Chi. Ning Yu separated a bit of his soul power and gradually approached the red barrier. However, when his soul power came into contact with the red barrier, a sizzling sound was heard. Hearing this sizzling sound, Ning Yu's expression turned grave. The sizzling sound was the sound of his soul power being devoured. The red barrier can devour soul power. Could it be the array that Wei Zongtian mentioned? Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. Wei Zongtian had said that there was a special array at the bottom of the real martial fountain. As long as he broke the array, he would see a box. And that box could only be picked up by the heaven-devouring dog. At that time, Wei Zongtian had specially pointed it out to the Dark Emperor. It shouldn't be. Very quickly, Ningyu rejected the idea in his heart. If the red barrier was the array that Wei Zongtian mentioned, then it meant that this was the real martial fountain. The density of essence at the bottom of the pool was the same as above. Clearly, this was not the real martial fountain. It can devour soul power. Let me try attacking with essence. Ningyu was not someone who was inflexible. Since the red barrier could devour soul power, he would try using essence. Swish. In the next instant, Ningyu wrapped his primordial chi around his wrist and punched out. In an instant, a nearly solid fist light blasted at the barrier at an astonishing speed. Chi-chi. Chi-chi. When the fist light came into contact with the red barrier, it was devoured just like the soul power from before. With both essence and soul power devoured, Ningyu was dumbfounded. What the hell is this red barrier? It can actually devour essence and soul power. Swish. Just as Ningyu was at a loss, the crystal ball was activated again and rushed at the red barrier. The barrier can devour essence and soul power. I don't believe. What? Seeing the crystal ball rushing toward the red barrier, Ningyu's eyes were filled with disbelief before he could finish his sentence. Crack. The crystal ball seemed to be able to restrain the red barrier. As soon as it came into contact with the red barrier, a gap was blasted open. Moreover, the crystal ball floated on the other side of the red barrier and did not move forward. Waiting for me? Seeing the actions of the crystal ball, Ningyu pointed at his own nose and asked doubtfully. Inside the barrier, the crystal ball moved up and down like a human, as if it was nodding. What the hell, even the crystal ball has become a spirit. Although that was what he said, Ningyu did not stay in place. Instead, he instantly sped up and arrived at the gap in the barrier. After hesitating for a moment, Ningyu gritted his teeth and entered the barrier. Ka-ka. As soon as Ningyu entered the barrier closed again and returned to its original state. At the same time, in a certain room in the ice mansion, Ouyangba raised his eyebrows as a confused look appeared on his face. After some thought, he took out a ball made of a special material. The ball was around the size of a fist, with an obvious crack on its surface. Ningyu has started to crack the formation. At this rate, in less than a day and a night, he'll be able to, The crack on the ball caused Ouyangba to let out an unrestrained smile. However, before he could finish laughing, his expression changed slightly. It was because he realized that the crack on the ball had disappeared. The crack disappeared? Could it be that Ningyu failed to crack the formation? Ouyangba frowned as a confused look appeared on his face. The ball was specially made, and it was related to the red barrier. As long as the red barrier was broken, the ball would shatter completely. The crack just now meant that there was a gap in the red barrier. However, the disappearance of the crack meant that the red barrier had returned to its original state. This doesn't make sense. It's just an external formation. There's no reason why Ningyu couldn't crack it. Ouyangba frowned slightly and mumbled. The red barrier is only a formation that separates the real martial pool from the ice mansion's martial pool. With Ningyu's strength, it's not difficult for him to crack it. Could it be that something went wrong? It was no wonder that Ouyangba was confused. The barrier at the bottom of the pool was personally set up by the ancestor of the imperial family. All he needed to do was to break it with a powerful attack. Why couldn't Ningyu do it? Forget it, let's wait a little longer. Maybe Ningyu is cultivating again. After pondering for a while, Ouyangba sat on the chair and closed his eyes. In fact, there was one thing that Ouyangba was unaware of. Compared to the time when the ancestor of the imperial family had set up the barrier had undergone a tremendous change. Now, not only could the barrier devour Yuan Qi, it could also devour soul force. Ningyu, this is the real martial pool. Ningyu had no idea of Ouyang Ba's doubts, as he was shocked by the scene before him. As soon as he entered the red barrier, the crystal ball transformed into the illusionary cultivator in front of him. Ningyu was familiar with the illusionary cultivator, who was none other than the first headmaster of Danwu College, Wei Zongtian. Wei Zongtian let out a smile and said, "This is only a projection of me. You don't have to be so surprised. I can only exist for 3 minutes. I'll make it short." Wei Zongtian continued, "Outside the red barrier is the pool of the imperial family. This is the real martial pool." The real martial pool? Ningyu was startled as he unleashed his divine sense. A moment later, Ningyu withdrew his divine sense. It was true that the Yuan Qi here was a lot denser than the one outside the barrier. The red barrier was set up by the ancestor of the imperial family to separate the real martial pool from the imperial family's pool. Wei Zongtian said, "Why is the red barrier able to devour Yuan Qi and soul force?" Ningyu asked in a confused tone. If the red barrier was only used to separate the two pools, there was no need to set up a barrier that could devour Yuan Qi and soul force. Wouldn't that be a waste of effort? The reason why the barrier can devour Yuan Qi and soul force is because of it. As he spoke, Wei Zongtian's eyes turned cold. He raised his palm and pointed to the ground in the distance. Looking in the direction of Wei Zongtian's palm, Ningyu was a little dumbfounded. This was because all he could see was the ground at the bottom of the martial pool. There was nothing else. "Reveal." At this moment, Wei Zongtian bellowed, and a cold beam of light shot out from his sleeve. The cold beam advanced for a distance before disappearing. Buzz. The moment the cold beam disappeared, a palm-sized box appeared where it had been. The box was golden in color, and there were a total of 6 keyholes on its 6th side. "This is the box I told you about in the past. Only the heaven-devouring dog can lift it." Wei Zongtian pointed to the golden box that had appeared on the ground, and his eyes revealed a fervent look. "Didn't you say that there is an array formation at the bottom of the martial pool?" Ningyu asked. "Of course there is an array formation." Chapter 482. Hound Trapping Formation. Hearing Wei Zongtian's words, Ningyu pondered for a moment, then strode forward. On the first step, he did not encounter anything. On the second step, it was the same. When Ningyu took the third step, the situation changed. Whoosh! The liquid in the surroundings started rolling like a raging wave. Then, all of it rushed towards the golden box. Not long after, all the liquid entered the golden box and went into hibernation. The sudden change caused Ningyu to be dumbfounded. He did not expect the box to be able to swallow the liquid in the surroundings. One must know that this was a real martial lake. The liquid in the surroundings contained extremely violent Yuan Qi. If the golden box could swallow all the liquid, didn't that mean that it was an incredible treasure? Moreover, a bold idea appeared in Ningyu's mind. That was, the golden box contained some kind of treasure that could swallow everything. "Ningyu, the reason why the red barrier can swallow Yuan Qi and soul power is all because of the golden box," Wei Zongtian said, suppressing the heat in his eyes. "Dean Wei, what exactly is in this box?" Ningyu frowned. "If I say I don't know, will you believe me?" Wei Zongtian stared into Ningyu's eyes and said in a low voice, "Pretend I didn't ask." Ningyu shrugged and walked towards the golden box. Bang! However, just as Ningyu took a step forward, his expression changed drastically, and he retreated hurriedly. However, Ningyu reacted a little too late. His body was hit by a cold light and he flew back several feet. He only stabilized himself when he hit the ground. "Ningyu, I don't have much time left. You have to think of a way to break this formation, then let that heaven-devouring dog take the golden box away." At this moment, Wei Zongtian's figure gradually became illusory. Before long, Wei Zongtian disappeared completely. The moment before his body disappeared, a soft voice rang in Ning Yu's ears. "I'll leave this crystal ball with you. Once you get the golden box, it'll take you away from the underground." Ding! Then, a crisp voice was heard. Then, the crystal ball fell to the ground. Ning Yu got up and picked up the crystal ball. He looked around but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Wei Zongtian's illusory body should be attached to this crystal ball. The crystal ball was still the same. This meant that Wei Zongtian had only attached his illusory body to the crystal ball. Otherwise, the crystal ball would have changed greatly. Until now, Ningyu still had some doubts. After obtaining the golden box, how was the crystal ball going to take him underground? Things will eventually sort themselves out. The box is right in front of us. It would be a waste not to take it. Ningyu took a deep breath and put the crystal ball aside for the time being. Then, he began to study the array in front of him. If he wanted to obtain the golden box, he would have to break the array around it. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to get close to it. There's a difference between this array and the red barrier. Ningyu split a portion of his perception to probe the array. The result was somewhat disappointing. There was a huge difference between the array and the red barrier. In other words, the array was even more difficult to break than the red barrier. The red barrier could already devour primordial qi and soul power. With Ning Yu's current strength, it would be very difficult to break the array that was even more difficult to break. What should I do? Staring at the golden box a few meters away, Ning Yu's expression was solemn as he began to ponder. If he wanted to obtain the golden box, he had to break the array. However, the array in front of him was impenetrable. It could devour primordial qi and soul power. Ningyu didn't want to give up because of this. After all, there must be some kind of precious treasure in the golden box. If he guessed correctly, the treasure in the box must be related to the heaven-devouring dog. That's right. Suddenly, Ningyu raised his eyebrows as if he had thought of a countermeasure. "Dark Emperor, hurry up and come out." Ningyu directly communicated with the Dark Emperor and told him to come out of the storage ring. Swish. Hearing Ningyu's call, the Dark Emperor directly rushed out of the storage ring. "Ningyu, are you going to let me sleep? Let me tell you, if I... Holy F***ck. After coming out, the Dark Emperor was a little unhappy. He rubbed his sleepy eyes and was just about to scold Ningyu when his eyes widened so much that his eyeballs were about to fall to the ground. "Why didn't you call me out earlier if you had such a good treasure?" The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes at Ningyu and grumbled for a while. Then, he rose from the ground and rushed toward the golden box. Seeing the Dark Emperor's actions, Ningyu did not stop him. Instead, he crossed his arms and stared at the Dark Emperor with interest. Bam! Holy F***ck. Without Ningyu's reminder, the outcome was obvious. The Dark Emperor was struck by the cold light, and his body was pushed back to the edge of the red barrier before stabilizing. After stabilizing, the Dark Emperor directly cursed and said angrily, "Ningyu, why the F***ck, didn't you tell me that there was a dog trapping formation here?" Dog trapping formation? Ningyu was slightly taken aback. He then asked, "What is a dog trapping formation?" "Don't talk about dog trapping formation first. Tell me why there isn't." The Dark Emperor seemed to not hear Ningyu's doubts and waved his hand. "Shut up. If you want to get the golden box, you have to break this dog trapping formation that you mentioned." Ningyu interrupted the Dark Emperor and berated. "Humph. We'll talk about this later." The Dark Emperor clearly bore a grudge against Ningyu and harumphed coldly. The so-called dog trapping formation is a formation that specializes in trapping heaven-devouring hounds. There's such a formation? Ningyu was taken aback. That's right. The Dark Emperor nodded and said disdainfully, "The world is full of extraordinary things. There are many things that you don't know. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask your bang." Before the Dark Emperor could finish his sentence, Ningyu kicked his butt and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and break the dog trapping formation." I'm afraid that old man Oyangba will come here if we delay any further. F***ck, how dare you kick me? The Dark Emperor was sent flying as soon as he stood up. He let out a roar and tried to reason with Ningyu. However, when he saw Ningyu's gloomy expression, the Dark Emperor immediately became listless. He spread his hands and said, "The trapping dog formation is a formation that specifically targets the heaven-devouring dog clan. It's very difficult for me to break it." "Even you can't break the dog trapping formation?" Ningyu's face turned ugly. If even the Dark Emperor had no way to break the formation, it would be difficult for him to break it today. The dog trapping formation could devour soul force and vitality. It had sealed everything that Ningyu could do. What else could he use to break it? Wrong. The Dark Emperor waved his paw and said proudly, "It's not difficult to break the dog trapping formation." Not difficult? What do you mean? Ningyu asked. Chapter 483. Vitality, a large amount of soul power and vitality? Ningyu was stunned at first, then he said, "How much soul power and vitality do you need?" "Not much." The Dark Emperor shrugged and said, "In terms of soul power, I only need a martial artist whose soul power is at the peak of the 7th grade to help me. As for vitality..." At this point, the Dark Emperor paused for a moment and continued, "Just give me a few 100,000 supreme grade origin crystals." Swoosh. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Ningyu's eyes widened and were filled with confusion. He could find martial artists whose soul power was at the peak of the 7th grade. After all, Sun Jiangwen and the Hall Master's soul power met the requirements. However, the Dark Emperor needed a few 100,000 supreme grade origin crystals. What the hell? He thought that supreme grade origin crystals were cheap. If he needed a few 100,000 supreme grade origin crystals to break the formation, then to Ningyu, it was fine even if he did not break the formation. "I can satisfy you as a peak of the 7th grade, but I can't get you a few 100,000 supreme grade origin crystals," Ningyu said in a deep voice. "Stingy, don't think I don't know that there are still 800,000 supreme grade origin crystals in your storage ring." The Dark Emperor curled his lips and said, "How about this, give me another 400,000 transcendent grade origin crystal. I only need 400,000 transcendent grade origin crystal to easily break the formation and obtain that golden box." "Bargaining with me?" Ningyu pointed at his nose and took a step forward, as if he was about to leave. However, the Dark Emperor did not seem to fall for this. He laid on the ground and lazily fanned his ears. "Don't waste your energy. The red barrier can devour vitality and soul power. With your current strength, it's basically impossible to break it." The Dark Emperor looked at Ningyu and said calmly, 300,000 supreme grade origin crystals, this is the lowest I can afford, ouch." However, before the Dark Emperor could finish his sentence, he screamed and jumped up from the ground. Then, the Dark Emperor touched his butt and said angrily, "Ningyu, if you dare to kick my butt again, I will teach you a lesson. I'm good looking, I don't need your help." Ningyu shrugged and then he stretched out a finger and said, 100,000 transcendent grade origin crystals. I'll give you 100,000 transcendent grade origin crystals at most. Tell me if you're able to break the formation or not. Deal, the Dark Emperor said hurriedly when he saw Ningyu's expression. He was afraid that he would not even be able to obtain 100,000 transcendent grade origin crystals. I'll say the ugly words first. After we break the formation, the golden box inside belongs to me. Ningyu knew the Dark Emperor's personality, so he decided to make things clear with the Dark Emperor first, in case he went back on his word. No. The Dark Emperor seemed to know what was in the golden box. He shook his head and said, "The things in the golden box belong to me. Treat it as me owing you a favor." "Your favor isn't worth much." At this moment, Ningyu was the one who calmed down. From the Dark Emperor's reaction, the golden box definitely didn't contain anything ordinary. It might be related to the heaven-swallowing dog. Ningyu felt that it was worth it to use 100,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals to exchange for the heaven-swallowing dog's treasure. Ningyu, you can't do that. The things in the golden box are very important to me. The Dark Emperor looked anxious. 50,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals. I only need 50,000. 40,000? 30,000? Damn it. The Dark Emperor cursed and raged. 10,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals. This is my limit. Any less and I won't be able to break the formation. Hee, at least you know what's good for you. Ningyu smiled. Break the formation first. If the things in the box are really important to you, I won't fight with you. Shio. With that, Ningyu flicked his sleeves and a storage bag flew towards the Dark Emperor. Piak. Catching the storage bag firmly, the Dark Monarch activated his perception and dived into the storage bag. When he saw the 20,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals in the storage bag, the Dark Emperor cried in regret. Sun Jiangwen, are you done setting up the formation? After tossing the storage bag to the Dark Emperor, Ningyu communicated with Sun Jiangwen. Can you stop for a moment and help the Dark Emperor break the dog-trapping formation? Give me 3 more hours. I'll be able to set up the formation in 3 hours. Inside the storage ring, Sun Jiangwen wore a solemn expression after hearing Ningyu's words. He said in a serious tone, once the formation is set up, it will only take 2 hours to get rid of the unique smell on the Hall Master and the others. So fast? Ningyu's mouth opened slightly in disbelief. He heard from Sun Jiangwen that it would take 3 days to set up the formation and a large amount of origin crystals. It seemed like only a day had passed. Why was Sun Jiangwen almost done setting up the formation? I used supreme-grade origin crystals. Sun Jiangwen's voice sounded in Ningyu's mind in a timely manner. 5 million supreme-grade origin crystals were not enough. At the critical moment of setting up the formation, you were competing with Li Tongtian and the others to refine the true martial pills. I asked the Hong Mo for his opinion and used 300,000 supreme-grade origin crystals. Holy F***CK. Ningyu could not help but swear and hurriedly put his perception into the storage ring. If he hadn't seen it, he wouldn't have known, but the moment he did, he was shocked. Apart from the 20,000 transcendent-grade origin crystals given to the Dark Emperor, there were only 480,000 origin crystals left in the storage ring. Ningyu's eyes widened and he even had the urge to slap Sun Jiangwen. However, Ningyu endured it because he saw that the Hong Mo was also in the formation. To be precise, he was in the formation that was not set up yet. Sun Jiangwen, I'll wait for you for 8 hours. Let's see if you can get rid of the smell of the Hall Master and the others. Ningyu took a deep breath and shouted in a deep voice, you should be well aware of the consequences if you fail. Dark Emperor. The next moment, Ningyu sent a voice transmission to the Dark Emperor, don't break this formation first. Go into the storage ring and watch Sun Jiangwen. 30,000 supreme-grade origin crystals. The Dark Emperor was not a fool. He could take this opportunity to ask for some supreme-grade origin crystals. After all, it would be a waste not to ask for them. I knew you wanted origin crystals. Ningyu's expression changed and he raised his right leg, wanting to kick the Dark Emperor's butt. This time, the Dark Emperor was already prepared. When Ningyu raised his right leg, his body turned into a shadow and entered the storage ring. At the same time, a soft voice sounded in Ningyu's ears. You should pay more attention to the crystal ball. It's giving me a sense of danger. The Dark Emperor's voice caused Ningyu's brows to raise as he hurriedly turned his gaze to the crystal ball not far away. Ever since Wei Zongtian left, the crystal ball had been waiting by his side and did not show any signs of abnormality. Could the Dark Emperor be messing with me? Suddenly, a wisp of gloominess appeared in Ningyu's eyes. Chapter 484. Attacking the Array Formation discovered me? Inside the crystal ball, a miniature figure raised his eyebrows and muttered, "Impossible. The crystal ball's material is extremely special. Unless it is a peak yin-yang realm martial artist, it would be very hard to discover me hiding inside." If Ningyu saw this figure, he would definitely be greatly astonished, because this figure was none other than Wei Zongtian. More accurately, it was a miniature version of Wei Zongtian. For the sake of obtaining the golden box, Wei Zongtian had handed the crystal ball to Ningyu when he was at Danwu College. It was just that he had left 2 cards on the crystal ball. The first was the illusory figure to explain the array formation to Ningyu, as well as to help Ningyu blast a hole in the red barrier. The second was to hide in the crystal ball. However, what was hidden in the crystal ball was not Wei Zongtian's actual body, but just an illusory figure. Even so, the illusory figure's combat prowess was very strong, so strong that it could easily kill an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. This array formation is very hard to break. If Ningyu wants to break it, he will probably need the help of that heaven-swallowing hound. Wei Zongtian said sullenly, "I'll watch for now, see how Ningyu and that heaven-swallowing hound will break the array formation." Wei Zongtian simply did not consider the possibility of him being exposed. Instead, he stared at Ningyu through the crystal ball. "Who?" On the other hand, Ningyu took a deep breath, great waves surging in his heart. Although he was very shocked in his heart, Ningyu did not show it on his face. "There is definitely someone in the crystal ball. If I did not guess wrongly, it should be Wei Zongtian," Ningyu said sullenly. The crystal ball was handed to Ningyu by Wei Zongtian. Earlier, Wei Zongtian had appeared in the crystal ball once again. Considering all these factors, it made sense that the vitality in the crystal ball was Wei Zongtian. "Forget it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. There are still 6 hours before Sun Jiangwen finishes setting up the formation. I can use these 6 hours to cultivate and stabilize my cultivation." Now, Ningyu's cultivation was at the peak of the true martial realm. However, this peak of the true martial realm was a little vague, which meant that it had yet to be completely stabilized. 3 hours was enough for Ningyu to completely stabilize his cultivation at the peak of the true martial realm. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye 2 hours passed. Neither Ningyu nor the Wei Zongtian in the crystal ball moved. 2 hours passed. Ningyu raised his eyelids slightly, then closed them again. As for Wei Zongtian in the crystal ball, his expression grew increasingly grave. In the end, he could not help but clench his fists tightly. Voila! Time flew, and when the 6th hour passed, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes. By now, Sun Jiangwen should have finished setting up the formation. Ningyu sent a wisp of his perception into his storage ring. Rise. As soon as Ningyu's perception entered the storage ring, he saw Sun Jiangwen raise his hands and shout in a low voice. Following Sun Jiangwen's shout, a huge formation was formed in an instant. The alchemist hall master, Wang Haibo, and the others sat in the middle of the formation. Whoosh! After the formation was set up, Sun Jiangwen did not stay idle. His figure flashed, and he sat in the middle of the formation with the alchemist hall master and the others. Chi chi chi. Following that, 3 sizzling sounds rang out in succession. Inside the formation, Ma Wei and the other 2 yin-yang realm early-stage martial artists' bodies instantly emitted a gasp. When the gas came into contact with the outer layer of the formation, it made a sizzling sound. At this moment, the Yin corpse sex smell on Ma Wei and the other 2 yin-yang realm martial artists' bodies was completely expelled. 15 minutes later, the smell on Sun Jiangwen's body was also expelled. Another hour passed, and the smell on the alchemist hall master's body was also completely expelled. Sun Jiangwen, you did well. Even though Ningyu was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but reveal a look of excitement when he saw Sun Jiangwen's success. The Alchemist Hall Master's cultivation was at the peak of Yin-Yang realm late stage, Wang Haiba's cultivation was at the middle stage, and Ma Wei and the others were at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm. The Yin corpse sex smell on their bodies had been expelled, and coupled with the appearance-changing technique, it would be harder for ordinary martial artists to recognize them. Sun Jiangwen, you guys rest here for a while. I will contact you immediately if I need anything. With that said, Ning Yu withdrew his perception from the storage ring. Whoosh! At the same time, the Dark Emperor also retreated from the storage ring. As for the Hong Mo, Ning Yu didn't let him out. Instead, he left him in the storage ring so that he could pass on a message. After stabilizing his body, the Dark Emperor spread out his hands. I've already said that to break the formation, I need a large amount of soul force and yuan qi. What do you want me to do now? In fact, it was no wonder that the Dark Emperor complained. When he came out of the storage ring, Ning Yu told the Dark Emperor that he only had yuan qi and no soul force. The dog trapping formation was an extremely brilliant formation. Without the support of soul force, it was very difficult to break it by relying on yuan qi alone. In other words, it was basically impossible to succeed. Use my soul force, Ning Yu said solemnly. It was very likely that Wei Zongtian was inside the crystal ball. If he let Sun Jiangwen out at this time, wouldn't it be over if Wei Zongtian noticed something? Although the special smell on Sun Jiangwen and the others had been dispelled, they hadn't changed their appearances yet. Only after changing their appearances would Ning Yu dare to let them out in broad daylight. Use your soul force? The Dark Emperor frowned. Your soul force is only at the peak of grade 5. That's right. With that, the Dark Emperor raised his brows and hurriedly said, Your control over your soul is extremely adept, you might really be able to help. Ning Yu, release your soul force. In the next moment, the Dark Emperor said solemnly, Leave half in my body and the other half on my palm. Ning Yu didn't know what the Dark Emperor was up to, but he still released his soul force and wrapped it around the Dark Emperor's palm. No, it should be called a claw. Go. Lowering his head to look at the violent soul force on his palm, the Dark Emperor took out the storage bag that Ning Yu had given him and threw it towards the formation in front of him. Explode. Accompanied by the Dark Emperor's low roar, a shocking explosion resounded in the area. Rumble. In order to loosen the formation, the Dark Emperor used 30,000 transcendent grade yuan crystals, causing them to explode in front of the formation. Using the explosion of transcendent grade yuan crystals to break the formation, it shouldn't be. Looking at the exploding transcendent grade yuan crystals, Ning Yu frowned slightly and wanted to retreat. Ning Yu, don't just stand there. Quickly release the remaining half of your soul force and break this formation with me. At this moment, the Dark Emperor's voice rang out in the area. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Ning Yu was a little stunned. However, this kind of daze only lasted for 0.1 seconds before it was stopped by Ning Yu. Chapter 485. Profit from the Third Party. Ha. This array can devour soul power and vitality. It will be very difficult to break it with such a method. In the crystal ball, Wei Zongtian frowned slightly and said doubtfully, When we were at the Danwu College's martial pool, Ning Yu could break the formation inside. Why did he break this formation? What? However, before Wei Zongtian's words had even left his mouth, he saw something that shocked him. Not far away, fine cracks appeared on the surface of the formation that had been bombarded by the explosion of 30,000 transcendent grade essence crystals. Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor seized the opportunity to land a claw and a punch on the crack. Crack! Crack! Suddenly, two crisp cracking sounds rang out in the area, sounding extremely ear-piercing. Ning Yu, inject all your primordial qi into your wrist. Don't hold back. Placing his claws on the light barrier of the dog-trapping formation, the Dark Emperor shouted, Success or failure depends on this. Understood. Ning Yu took a deep breath, and then the yuan qi in the 4 illusory golden cores burst out, pouring into his wrist. His yuan qi is actually so dense? Inside the crystal ball, when Wei Zongtian saw the berserk essence surging out from Ning Yu's sea of consciousness, his eyes involuntarily widened and a grave expression appeared on his face. Originally, he had only treated Ning Yu as an ordinary core disciple of the Sacred Institute of Danwu College. He didn't expect Ning Yu to have such powerful vital energy. One must know that when he first met Ning Yu in the Danwu pool, Ning Yu's essence qi was far less dense than now. In just a few short days, Ning Yu's essence qi had increased to such an extent? If he were to continue cultivating at this speed, it wouldn't be long before Ning Yu could sweep away all the students in Danwu College. After that, Wei Zongtian shook his head and said, "Even though the essence is rather dense, it will take some time to break the formation." Crack! The moment Wei Zongtian's voice rang out, a melodious voice resounded in the area once again. Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor blasted a hole in the light barrier around the formation. Xiao! Xiao! After that, Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor's figures flashed and entered the formation. How is this possible? As Wei Zongtian watched the Dark Emperor and Ning Yu enter the formation, his mouth gaped open, a dumbfounded expression on his face. Compared to possessing valiant essence, the shock that Ning Yu had given Wei Zongtian was extremely great. The dog-trapping formation could devour yuan qi and soul force. Why was Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor able to enter the formation? It seemed that they were fine and had not been affected at all. Dark Emperor, Wei Zongtian said that only you can lift this golden box. Inside the formation, Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor stood side by side. Ning Yu did not have any intention of taking the golden box. Instead, he gave this opportunity to the Dark Emperor. "It's better if you take it. This is the dog-trapping formation. My strength will drop by at least 80% in here." The Dark Emperor said, "With only 20% of my strength left, it's impossible for me to pick up that golden box." Ning Yu stared at the Dark Emperor and frowned. Did the sun rise from the west today? Why didn't the Dark Emperor take the golden box? Could it be that there was something terrifying around the golden box? There must be a trap, there must be a trap. Thinking of this, Ning Yu took a deep breath and released his perception, probing the surroundings of the box. After a while, Ning Yu retracted his perception. At the same time, his brows furrowed. Even though Ning Yu's perception was so powerful, he did not find any clues around the box. Not finding any clues did not mean that there was no danger. "Dark Emperor, stop playing dumb with me. Hurry up and tell me what's around the box." Ning Yu glanced at the crystal ball from the corner of his eye and said, "After getting the box, we still have to leave this place." "All right, I'll tell you." The Dark Emperor took a step forward and arrived beside Ning Yu. He whispered into Ning Yu's ear. After saying that, the Dark Emperor took a step back and said to Ning Yu, "I wish you good luck. Get the golden box first. The rest is not something we can control." Understood. Ning Yu's expression was solemn. He stomped on the ground and charged towards the golden box at an extremely shocking speed. Swish, 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 swish. Just as Ning Yu arrived beside the golden box, 6 cold lights shot out from 6 directions, all of them piercing towards Ning Yu's head. The speed of these cold lights was very fast, even half a beat faster than Ning Yu. Furthermore, Ning Yu could feel an extremely powerful devouring force from the cold lights. If he was unlucky enough to be struck by the 6 cold lights, even if he wasn't killed, he would be devoured into a dried-up corpse. Swish. However, just as the 6 cold lights were about to reach Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor's eyes lit up and his body shot out like a spring. The speed that the Dark Emperor unleashed in that instant was actually comparable to a pinnacle yin-yang realm martial artist. In an instant, the Dark Emperor arrived beside the golden box and extended his claws, grabbing at the golden box. Swish. However, the golden box seemed to know that the Dark Emperor was going to grab it. It actually leaped up and flew into the distance. F***ck, it's a spirit. Even though the Dark Emperor knew what was in the box, he couldn't help but cry out. Crack! The golden box was extremely fast and arrived at the edge of the formation in an instant. Then, under the shocked gazes of Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor, the golden box easily broke through the hound trapping formation. Isn't this too easy? Seeing how the golden box broke through the hound trapping formation so easily, everyone, including Wei Zongtian, was dumbfounded. Oh no! However, Ning Yu didn't stay in a daze for too long. He immediately took out the Absolute Soul Sword and slashed out several sword rays. Pust, when the sword rays and the cold lights came into contact, a series of sizzling sounds erupted. It was obvious that the cold lights were much more powerful than the sword rays. After all, the cold lights had an extremely powerful devouring ability. The moment the sword rays came into contact with the cold lights, they were devoured by the cold light. Damn it! Cursing under his breath, Ning Yu turned around and ran. What a joke! Although Ning Yu could block the 6 cold lights that contained a powerful devouring ability, he didn't want to do that, because blocking these cold lights would consume too much of Ning Yu's energy. He had to use all his trump cards to block them completely. Good timing! After the golden box broke through the hound trapping formation, it charged toward the red barrier. It was obvious that the golden box wanted to leave this place, and the direction that the golden box was heading toward happened to be where the crystal ball was, which was also where Wei Zongtian was. Seeing the golden box flying toward him, Wei Zongtian laughed loudly and hurriedly controlled the crystal ball to fly into the air. Whoosh! Moreover, the crystal ball instantly grew in size, firmly blocking the golden box's path. Come in! Wei Zongtian had been waiting for this moment. When it came, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy. Chapter 486. Success. Dark Emperor, help me block the 6 cold beams behind me. I'll go snatch the golden box. Seeing the crystal ball grow bigger, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold as he shouted in a low voice. Ning Yu was very clear that Wei Zongtian was hiding in the crystal ball, and Wei Zongtian's action was also to obtain the golden box. But how could Ning Yu let him have his way? He had gone through so much trouble and almost died in the palace, all for the treasure in the golden box. Wei Zongtian wanted to freeload, but Ning Yu would never allow it. Even if Wei Zongtian was the first dean of Danwu College, he could not. Ning Yu, don't panic. The Dark Emperor clearly did not take Ning Yu's worries to heart. He waved his hand and said indifferently, "It won't be that easy for the crystal ball to swallow the golden box." Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and looked at the crystal ball. Ning Yu had just shifted his gaze when he saw the crystal ball being struck by the golden box and falling backward. Seeing how the crystal ball could not withstand a single blow, Ning Yu was dumbfounded and a little stunned. Not good. However, just as Ning Yu was in a daze, the 6 cold beams had already arrived in front of him and blasted towards his chest. Revolving wheel. At the crucial moment, Ning Yu quickly gathered the essence in his sea of consciousness to his wrist and pushed out with his palm. Ning Yu, don't use your soul power and essence. Use your physical strength to resist these cold beams. The Dark Emperor seemed to be more familiar with these cold beams. When he saw that Ning Yu was about to execute the revolving wheel palm, he immediately shouted a reminder. Physical strength? Ning Yu was slightly stunned. He immediately gritted his teeth and retracted the essence and soul power in his palm. In the next moment, Ning Yu punched out. Chi! His fist collided with the first ray of cold light. Ning Yu felt a huge force coming from his fist, causing his fist to feel slightly numb. Although his fist was numb, the first ray of cold light was dispersed. It's indeed effective. With one successful move, Ning Yu threw out 5 consecutive punches. Chi, 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 chi. Following that, 5 consecutive chi-chi sounds rang out. Unsurprisingly, the 5 rays of cold light were all dispersed by Ningyu's fist. On the other hand, Ningyu's fist had turned blood-red, and blood was oozing out of it. These minor injuries were nothing to Ningyu. He completely ignored the blood oozing out from his fist. His eyes were fixed on the crystal ball that had fallen to the ground and the golden box that was floating in front of the red barrier. After repelling the crystal ball, the golden box did not leave immediately. Instead, it hovered in front of the red barrier. It was as if the golden box was afraid of the other side of the red barrier. Damn it! In the crystal ball, Wei Zongtian's face was ashen. He did not expect the golden box to have such a powerful attack. He nearly failed miserably. When the golden box flew towards him, he thought that the golden box was already in his bag. He thought that he could easily keep the golden box. Who would have thought that the golden box would explode with a powerful attack, causing the crystal ball to fall to the ground and nearly shatter? It seems like only the heaven-devouring dog can pick up the golden box. Wei Zongtian's face was gloomy. From Ningyu's performance earlier, Ningyu also wanted the golden box. If the golden box was obtained by the Dark Emperor, it was very likely that he would hand it over to Ningyu. Once Ningyu obtained the item in the golden box, it would be very difficult for him to take it back. What should I do? Wei Zongtian's eyes moved rapidly as he thought of a countermeasure. Swoosh! At this moment, the Dark Emperor rose from the ground and charged towards the golden box at a shocking speed. The first time he did not grab the golden box, the Dark Emperor had been holding his breath. Now that he saw the golden box stopping, the Dark Emperor felt that his chance had come. Woof woof woof! Before the Dark Emperor could reach the golden box, a few anxious sounds rang in Ningyu's ears. These sounds were obviously the barking of dogs. You want me to save you? Ningyu asked tentatively. Woof woof! The dog barked again. If you want me to save you, bark once. If you don't want to, bark twice. Ningyu said softly. Woof! F***ck. It really is as the Dark Emperor said, it has become a spirit. Ningyu could not help but curse and shouted at the Dark Emperor. Dark Emperor, come back first. What's going on? The Dark Emperor was about to reach the golden box when he heard Ningyu's call. He immediately stopped and turned to look at Ningyu in confusion. Let go of that box and let me do it. After saying that, Ningyu wrapped his essence around his ankle and took a step forward, appearing beside the golden box in an instant. Puff! Immediately, Ningyu reached out with his right hand and grabbed the golden box firmly. Seeing Ningyu grab the golden box, Wei Zongtian's mouth opened slightly in the crystal ball, his face filled with disbelief. Didn't they say that only the heaven-devouring dog could pick up the golden box? Why can Ningyu pick it up? Ningyu, how did he do it? Wei Zongtian was very confused and could be said to be completely dumbfounded. I'll have to trouble you first. Stay in the storage ring. On the other side, after Ningyu grabbed the golden box, he threw it into the storage ring. After doing all this, Ningyu clapped his hands and said to the Dark Emperor, The golden box is in our hands. We can leave this place now. Yes, let's leave this place quickly. The Dark Emperor came back to his senses and flew out hurriedly. However, when the Dark Emperor arrived before the red barrier, he stopped and frowned. With our strength, it should be very difficult to break this red barrier, right? Woof woof! As soon as the Dark Emperor said that, a barking sound rang in Ningyu's mind. Immediately, a message was sent to Ningyu's head. Ningyu closed his eyes slightly and recalled the message in his head. He could not help but reveal a smile. Follow me. In the next instant, Ningyu took a step forward and arrived before the red barrier. Ningyu waved his hands continuously and a few palm prints were formed. Go! As Ningyu bellowed, a few palm prints were instantly activated and blasted towards the red barrier. Crack! 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 When the palm prints came into contact with the red barrier, a small gap was blasted out almost instantly. Let's go. Ningyu took a step forward and dashed out of the red barrier. Swoosh. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor did not hesitate and took a step forward and followed closely. Swoosh. As for Wei Zongtian, he hesitated for a second before controlling the crystal ball and dashing out of the red barrier. Crack crack. After Ningyu and the others dashed out of the red barrier, the gap that appeared in the red barrier closed up again and returned to its original state. But at the same time, in a certain room in the Ice Mansion. Chapter 487. Chapter 487. Celebration. Ningyu, let's hurry up and leave before anything happens. After leaving the red barrier, the Dark Emperor said hurriedly. The Dark Emperor's thoughts were simple. Get the golden box and leave quickly. After all, this was the palace. If an expert were to notice this place, the consequences would be dire. Therefore, the Dark Emperor's first thought was to leave and get as far away from this place as possible. There's no hurry. There's still quite a few hours before the day and night ends. If we leave now, we'll be making a fool of ourselves. Ningyu waved his hand and said in a deep voice, Dark Emperor, enter the storage ring first. Without my permission, you can't come out no matter what. Alright, up to you. The Dark Emperor knew that once Ningyu made a decision, no matter how much he interfered, Ningyu would not change his mind. In any case, he wanted to see the golden box. Entering the storage ring was in line with his thoughts. Swoosh. In the next instant, the Dark Emperor turned into an afterimage and entered the storage ring. Just as the Dark Emperor entered the storage ring, Ningyu's figure flashed and he arrived beside the crystal ball. After hesitating for a moment, Ningyu reached out and grabbed the crystal ball. I've already obtained the golden box. You're useless now. Ningyu knew very well that one of Wei Zongtian's afterimages or clones was in the crystal ball. He did not dare to keep the crystal ball on him anymore. With Wei Zongtian's ability, wouldn't it be very dangerous if he discovered his secret? Therefore, Ningyu suddenly exerted force with his wrist and threw the crystal ball out of the pool. Whoosh! Although this was the bottom of the pool, Ningyu's strength was extremely great. In almost an instant, the crystal ball was thrown out of the pool and landed on the ground beside the pool. Swoosh! However, just as the crystal ball landed on the ground, a figure flashed past and arrived beside the pool. Looking at the crystal ball on the ground, the figure frowned and revealed a puzzled expression. What is this? The figure moved and picked up the crystal ball on the ground, sizing it up. After a while, the figure put the crystal ball into his arms, intending to take it back and study it carefully. I wonder what Ningyu is doing at the bottom of the pond. Ouyangba stared at the pond with a frown. That's right, the figure who had suddenly appeared was none other than Ouyangba. Ever since the ball cracked open for the second time, Ouyangba had been infuriated. He had decided to check it out personally. Unexpectedly, as soon as he appeared, he saw the crystal ball fly out of the pool. Xiao! After pondering for a moment, Ouyangba split a portion of his senses into the pool. Ouyangba's intention was very simple. He wanted to see what Ningyu was doing. Cultivating. When Ouyangba saw Ningyu cultivating diligently, his brows furrowed into the shape of the character Chuan. Logically speaking, Ningyu should be trying to break the red barrier. Why did he start cultivating again? Furthermore, Ouyangba discovered that Ningyu's cultivation had advanced from the late stage of the true martial realm to the peak stage of the true martial realm. There must be something that he had not noticed. There are still a few more hours before the day and night ends. I'll stay here and see what Ningyu is up to. Ouyangba glanced at the red barrier again. When he discovered that the red barrier was still intact, he decided to stay here. Hee, I've already got the golden box. Even if you stay here until the end of time, you won't find anything. At the bottom of the pond, Ningyu could clearly sense Ouyangba's senses sweeping across the place without any scruples. However, Ningyu did not take it to heart. Since he had already obtained the golden box, It did not matter how Ouyang Ba tried to investigate as long as it did not pose any threat to him. Buzz buzz. At the bottom of the pond, Ningyu began cultivating with the spiritual technique. Ningyu did not want to waste a few hours. He first spent an hour stabilizing his cultivation at the peak stage of the true martial realm. In the remaining time, Ningyu began to crazily absorb the qi from his surroundings. The qi inside the illusionary golden cores had reached saturation. If he were to absorb more, it was highly possible that they would split apart. Currently, Ningyu had 4 illusionary golden cores. Once they all split apart, Ningyu would have 8 illusionary golden cores. With each additional illusionary golden core, Ningyu's strength would improve significantly. As long as all 4 illusionary golden cores were split apart, even if he did not advance to the origin core realm, Ningyu was confident that he could defeat an intermediate yin-yang realm martial artist. Bang! Half an hour later, a dull thud was heard, followed by one of the illusionary golden cores exploding and splitting into 2. This is going to work. The first illusionary golden core successfully split apart, giving Ningyu a boost of confidence, causing his face to be filled with joy. Bang! Bang! Once there was one, there would be a second and a third. Not long after, the second and third illusionary golden cores in Ningyu's sea of consciousness suddenly exploded, each splitting into a golden core. There are still 4 hours before the deadline. I can definitely split the last illusionary golden core successfully. The first 3 illusionary golden cores were successfully split apart, which made Ningyu very satisfied. In the next moment, Ningyu hurriedly circulated the spirit transformation technique to the extreme, crazily absorbing the qi in the pool and injecting it into the illusionary golden core in his sea of consciousness that had yet to split apart. What's going on? However, the last illusionary golden core seemed to be affected by something. No matter how much Ningyu absorbed the qi, it could not be split apart. Since it could not be split apart, Ningyu simply stopped and carefully examined the illusionary golden core. After examining it for a while, Ningyu absorbed the qi again, wanting to complete the last illusionary golden core's division. Time's up. However, when Ouyang Ba's voice rang in Ningyu's ears, he still did not split the last illusionary golden core into 2. Whoosh! Ningyu was already very satisfied that the 3 illusionary golden cores were successfully split apart. Now that the time was up, there was no need for Ningyu to stay any longer. He immediately leapt up and rushed out of the pool. Splash! Not long after, Ningyu arrived at the edge of the pool and stood still. Ningyu, you've advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. Seeing Ningyu coming out of the pool, Ouyang Ba exclaimed in surprise. Humph! Didn't you already know that I've advanced to the peak of the true martial realm? Why are you still pretending? Hearing Ouyang Ba's words, Ningyu let out a humph secretly. However, Ningyu only thought about it in his heart and did not say it out loud. After all, Ouyang Ba was the emperor of the great Xia kingdom. It was not very kind of him to say that in front of him. Your Majesty, it's all thanks to this pool that I was able to advance to the peak of the true martial realm. Ningyu pointed at the pool and said. Ah! Ouyang Ba burst out laughing and said, Anyway, it's a great thing to be able to advance to the peak of the true martial realm. Let's go, I've already set up a banquet in the guest hall to celebrate for you. Celebrate for me? Ningyu was startled at first before he asked doubtfully. I've only advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. I'm afraid it's unnecessary to celebrate for me. Of course it's not for you. Apart from you, there's also Li Tongtian and the others. Ouyang Ba waved his hand and said in an unquestionable tone, Let's go. Chapter 488. Welcome. The royal palace's guest hall was located to the west of the ice mansion. It was specially used to welcome the royal guest. There were a total of 3 guest halls. The first was the guest hall. Only those of high status or powerful martial artists had the right to enter. The The second was the Silver Hall. Martial artists of slightly lower status than those in the guest hall, but all of them were respected figures in the capital. The third was the Bronze Hall. The original purpose of the welcoming Copper Hall was to target the young experts of the capital. Anyone of the younger generation whose cultivation had reached the Yuan Dan stage had the qualifications to enter the welcoming Copper Hall. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 3 martial artists suddenly appeared in front of the Bronze Hall. Third Prince, the Emperor sent you to the Bronze Hall. I guess he has an important mission for you. Among the 3 martial artists, one was at the pinnacle of the martial realm, one was at the late primal core realm, and the last was at the pinnacle of the primal core realm. The pinnacle of the primal core martial artist smiled. You must grasp this opportunity. This may be the most crucial moment in your fight for the position of Crown Prince. That's right. I asked around before coming. The Emperor did not send the 1st Prince or the 6th Prince. He must have something to tell you, the late primal core martial artist agreed. Humph. What important mission? The 3rd Prince, Ouyang Hai, snorted. If I'm not wrong, it must be about West Mountain City. West Mountain City. Upon hearing Ouyang Hai's words, the late and pinnacle of the primal core realm martial artists all revealed serious expressions. West Mountain City was not a good place. With Ouyang Hai's strength, unless he brought a few Yin-Yang realm martial artists with him, he would not even know how he died in West Mountain City. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure flew past and landed steadily in front of Ouyang Hai. Li Tongtian. Seeing the figure that suddenly appeared, Ouyang Hai's expression changed. Why are you here? Why can't I be here? Turn around and see what this place is. Ouyang Hai pursed his lips and pointed behind Ouyang Hai. Where? Ouyang Hai frowned. The guest hall, Li Tongtian shrugged. Damn it! Being looked down upon by Li Tongtian, Ouyang Hai was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He even wanted to make a move on Li Tongtian. But he knew the difference between him and Li Tongtian, so he could only endure. Initially, he thought that Ouyang Ba had only asked him to come over. Who would have thought that Li Tongtian would come over as well? Other than Li Tongtian, there must be others. Whoosh, whoosh. As expected, 2 more figures soon appeared in his field of vision. Feng Zi, Lu Xuan. Seeing the 2 familiar figures, Ouyang Hai said in a low voice, "Could it be that the 2 of you were also invited by Father?" Emperor 2. Feng Zi's reply to Ouyang Hai's low shout was very simple. It was only the word, idiot. 3 Hall Yang Feng 2 Feng Hall was. At this moment, Feng Zi was in a fit of anger. Ouyang Hai had offended him, so he naturally wouldn't give Ouyang Hai any face. Ever since Ning Yu left Tianyuan Tower, Feng Zi brought Lu Wei, Xiao Yu and the rest to Danwu College. Unexpectedly, halfway through their journey, Feng Zi and the others were stopped by a martial artist of intermediate Yin-Yang stage sent by Ouyang Ba. The intermediate Yin-Yang state martial artist did not waste any time and said that the Emperor wanted Feng Zi and Lu Wei to go to the guest hall. Feng Zi was helpless against an intermediate Yin-Yang state martial artist and could only be brought to the palace with Lu Wei. What? How dare you call me an idiot? Ouyang Hai's eyes widened when he heard Feng Zi. Bao Ming, Tai Xing, teach him a lesson. Ouyang Hai was not stupid. He knew that he was no match for Feng Zi, so he asked Bao Ming and Tai Xing to do it. Bao Ming was at the late primal core stage, while Tai Xing was at the peak of the primal core stage. To Ouyang Hai, the 2 of them should be able to defeat Feng Zi easily. Understood. Bao Ming and Tai Xing had always followed Ouyang Hai's lead. Now that Ouyang Hai had a request, they would not reject it. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, Bao Ming and Tai Xing gathered their yuan qi on their fists and rushed towards Feng Zi. Feng Zi, be careful. Lu Wei shouted when she saw the 2 powerful martial artists attacking Feng Zi together. Don't worry, they're just 2 clowns. Fengzi said calmly, not taking Bao Ming seriously. Humph. Calling us clowns is not, Bao Ming was furious. No matter what, he was a late primal core martial artist. How could he be called a clown by Fengzi? An aunt could tolerate it, but an uncle could not. Smack. However, before Bao Ming could finish his sentence, he let out a scream. Then, Fengzi dashed out quickly and slapped him on the cheek. You dare to hit me? Bao Ming shouted as he held his injured cheek. Not only did I dare to hit you, if you don't get lost, I will kill you, Fengzi said in a low voice. Brat, you want to kill Bao Ming without asking for my permission. Tai Xing was one level higher than Bao Ming and was at the peak of the primal core stage. He turned into a shadow and appeared in front of Fengzi in the blink of an eye. Smack, 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 smack. However, Tai Xing's ending was much more miserable than Bao Ming's. Fengzi only slapped Bao Ming once, but he received countless slaps from Tai Xing. Several palm prints could be clearly seen on Tai Xing's face, and traces of fresh blood flowed from his face. Fengzi, this is the Imperial Palace. You dare to behave atrociously? Ouyang Hai did not expect Bao Ming and Tai Xing to be defeated so quickly and immediately shouted. It's not that I dare to behave atrociously, it's your two dogs who are behaving atrociously. After easily defeating Bao Ming and Tai Xing, Fengzi said indifferently, like dog, like master. This saying is definitely not wrong. Hearing Fengzi's words, Lu Wei could not help but laugh. Fengzi's intention was very obvious. He called Ouyang Hai a dog. I'm so angry, I want. Ouyang Hai was not stupid. He could naturally hear the meaning behind Fengzi's words. However, before his voice could fade, two figures swiftly appeared from the distance. Swish, swish. Feeling the powerful aura emitted from one of the figures, Ouyang Hai swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Lu Wei. These two figures were Ning Yu and Ouyang Ba. As soon as he landed, Ning Yu saw a familiar figure. Lu Wei. Your Majesty, did you call Lu Wei and Fengzi over to celebrate with them? Ning Yu took a deep breath and tried hard to calm himself down. Immediately, Ning Yu turned to Ouyang Ba and said, If I'm not wrong, Lu Wei and Fengzi's cultivation have not increased. Isn't it a little unreasonable to call them over for this celebratory banquet? Haha, I definitely have my reasons for calling them over. Chapter 489. Chapter 489. The WAR pacifying the disturbance. After laughing out loud, Ouyang Ba took the lead and walked into the copper palace that welcomed the guests. Looking at Ouyang Ba's back, Ning Yu frowned, not knowing what he was up to. Humph! Beside him, Ouyang Hai fiercely glared at Ning Yu and Fengzi, before following behind Ouyang Ba toward the copper palace. Tai Xing and Bao Ming followed Ouyang Hai closely, one on the left and one on the right. Tai Xing and Bao Ming still remembered the fear of being dominated by Fengzi. Let them stay here? What a joke, they wanted to live longer. Ning Yu, are we going in? Fengzi asked after Ouyang Hai and the others disappeared from his sight. Ning Yu pondered for a while, then said, Go in and listen to my instructions later. Don't act recklessly without my permission. As he spoke, Ning Yu glanced at Li Tongtian, then walked into the welcoming copper hall. However, Ning Yu paused for a while beside Lu Wei, then said in a low voice beside Lu Wei's ear, If there's any danger, go into the storage ring immediately. After saying this, Ning Yu didn't hesitate any longer and strode into the copper hall that welcomed guests. Ning Yu has advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. It seems like the one day and night of cultivation in Ice Mansion helped him a lot. Li Tongtian fixed his eyes on Ning Yu with a solemn expression. In fact, when Ning Yu appeared, Li Tongtian was surprised, because he found out that Ning Yu had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. During the one day and night of cultivation in Ice Mansion, Li Tongtian only stabilized his cultivation and did not even advance to the half-step Yin-Yang realm. On the other hand, Ningyu had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm. How could he not be surprised? This time, Ouyang is hosting another banquet. He will definitely show his foxtail. I have to be careful. Li Tongtian didn't linger for too long in front of the copper hall. He quickly entered the hall. At the moment, a huge rectangular table was placed in the copper palace, with Ouyang sitting at the head of the table. Ouyang Hai naturally sat on the second seat on the left of Ouyang. As for Ningyu, he hesitated for a moment before sitting at the end of the table. Ningyu, come and sit here. However, as soon as Ningyu sat down, Ouyang pointed at the first seat on his left and said with a smile, "You're the star of this banquet, how can you be so far away from me?" Whoosh! As soon as the words left Ouyang mouth, Ouyang Hai's expression changed tremendously, turning slightly pale. Ouyang Hai was very clear about the weight of the first seat on the left of Ouyang. In the past, Ouyang had invited the young experts of the capital to a banquet, but the first seat on his left had always been empty. In Ouyang words, those who couldn't match up to his younger self were not worthy to sit in that seat. Now that Ouyang had asked Ningyu to sit there, doesn't that mean that Ningyu is on par with him when he was younger? Upon having this thought, Ouyang Hai could not help but gasp. Ouyang was extremely powerful when he was younger, and was known as the ruler of the younger generation of the Great Xia Kingdom. No one in the same generation could match him. Ningyu can't be allowed to live. Ouyang Hai clenched his fists tightly, as an evil thought arose in his mind. After the banquet, he would hire someone to kill Ningyu with a huge sum of money, to get rid of his greatest threat. Li Tongtian, don't just stand there, come and sit here. Following this, Ouyang pointed at the first seat on his right and said with a smile when he saw Li Tongtian, who had just entered the hall, "I'll do as you say." Ningyu did not hesitate and immediately sat on the first seat on Ouyang left, sitting right next to Ouyang Hai. Seeing that Ningyu had sat down, Li Tongtian no longer had any reservations and sat on the first seat on Ouyang right. Behind Li Tongtian, Feng Zi and Lu Wei sat down too. Cough cough, I don't want to say too much. The reason why I've gathered all of you here is because I have something important to announce. After everyone had taken their seats, Ouyang let out a dry cough and said, "West Mountain City is in chaos and I've decided to send Hai to quell it." As I thought. Ouyang Hai's expression changed slightly. Even though he had heard the news before, his heart still skipped a beat. Shishan City was an extremely chaotic place. The powers within were complicated, and even a few of the powerful families in the capital were involved in it. Quell the chaos in West Mountain City? Not to mention sending Ouyang Hai, even if they sent a late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist over, they wouldn't dare to say that they would be able to quell the unrest. Although Ouyang Hai was unwilling, he still stood up from his seat and said in a deep voice, "Father, I'll do my best." Of course, it's just that. Ouyang waved his hand, before his gaze slowly swept across the crowd, before finally stopping at Ningyu. West Mountain City is rather chaotic. With your strength, it will be hard to quell the chaos. Therefore, I've found you another helper. After a slight pause, Ouyang continued, "Ningyu, a few bandits have appeared in West Mountain City. Why don't you go with Hai?" The fox's tail is finally showing. Ningyu's eyes narrowed as his heart was in turmoil. Ningyu had heard of West Mountain City before. It was the most remote city in the Great Xia Kingdom and was extremely far away from the capital. Throughout the dynasties, West Mountain City had always been the destination of some frustrated princes. At the same time, West Mountain City was also the most chaotic place. The forces there were complicated, and if one wasn't strong enough, going there would be no difference from suicide. There was once an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist who went to West Mountain City. On the second day, everyone found him hanging on the city wall with his head chopped off. Since then, West Mountain City had become a place of exile. Your Majesty, I have yet to report to Donwu College after returning to the capital. How about we talk about West Mountain City after I come out from Donwu College? Ningyu said after a slight hesitation. Dong, dong, dong. As soon as Ningyu finished his words, Ouyang Ba did not reply immediately. Instead, he reached out his finger and gently knocked on the table. The rhythm of Ouyang Ba knocking on the table was very slow, so slow that it was maddening. In the main hall, Ouyang Hai and the others held their breaths and did not even dare to breathe loudly. On the other hand, Ningyu remained expressionless as he sat on the chair and waited quietly. It's not impossible to talk about it after you come out from Donwu College. After a full 3 minutes, Ouyang Ba finally spoke. The matter in West Mountain City is rather urgent. We can't delay it any longer. How about this, let Haier and Lu Wei go there first. As for you, you can stay in the capital for a period of time. It won't be too late to go there after you're done with your work. Swish. As soon as Ouyang Ba finished his words, Ningyu's expression turned completely gloomy. Let Lu Wei and the others go to West Mountain City with Ouyang Hai. This was no different from sending Lu Wei to her death. Chapter 490. Squinting eyes, Your Majesty, Lu Wei's cultivation is too weak. She won't be of much help in West Mountain City, why don't? Ningyu rose from his chair and suggested as soon as Ouyang Ba finished his sentence. West Mountain City was a chaotic place. Even if Ningyu were to head there, he would not be able to guarantee his survival, let alone Lu Wei who had a low cultivation base. In other words, if Lu Wei were to head to West Mountain City, she would be killed within a day. Ningyu, I know you're concerned about Lu Wei's safety, but I can tell you one thing. Ouyang Ba waved his hand and interrupted Ningyu's words. With Hai around, Lu Wei won't be in danger. Hee Ningyu, don't worry. Leave the important task of taking care of Lu Wei to me. At that instant, Ouyang Hai said with a sinister smile, when you head to West Mountain City, I'll give you a complete Lu Wei. You. Feng Zi clenched his teeth furiously after hearing Ouyang Hai's words. He immediately stood up from his chair. However, just as Feng Zi was about to lose his temper, Ningyu glared at him. Feng Zi instantly quietened down after being glared at by Ningyu and sat down unwillingly. Your Majesty, is there no room for negotiation? Ningyu turned to Ouyang Ba and said in a deep voice. There's room for negotiation, but I'm afraid you won't agree to it. Ouyang Ba slammed his palm on the table again and said, Tell me about it. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu had no choice but to take the risk. After all, asking Lu Wei to head to West Mountain City was no different than sending her to her death. Like I said before, you and Haier will head to West Mountain City together. Ouyang Ba shrugged and said, When will you be back from West Mountain City? Ningyu asked with a frown. That's hard to say. As long as you can quell the unrest in West Mountain City, you can immediately return. The meaning behind Ouyang Ba's words was very clear. As long as the chaos in West Mountain City was not settled, they would not be allowed to return to the capital. When are we leaving? Ningyu asked again. Let's go now, Ouyang Ba said in a cold voice, leaving no room for negotiation. As he spoke, Ouyang Ba rose from his chair and waved his hand, causing the surrounding space to crack. Xiao. Then, a figure appeared. Elder Tan. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Ningyu's expression was a little ugly. The reason why Ouyang Ba called Old Man Tan out was obvious. It was to ensure that Old Man Tan could follow Ouyang Hai to the West Mountain City. Old Tan, have you prepared the things I asked you to prepare? Ouyang Ba asked when he saw Old Tan. I'm ready. Elder Tan reached into his pocket and took out 2 white pills. After receiving the white pills from Old Tan's hand, Ouyang Ba flicked his wrist and threw one toward Ningyu and the other toward Ouyang Hai. Slap! Ningyu glanced at them and reached out his hand, grabbing the pills firmly. This is the Origin Chasing Pill. Ningyu's face turned ugly to the extreme when he sensed the smell coming from the pill in his hand. The Origin Chasing Pill was a peak 5th grade pill. Although the Origin Chasing Pill was only a 5th grade pill, its effect was quite unique. Once it was swallowed, it would leave a unique smell on one's body. With the help of the unique smell and a secret technique, one could easily find him. That's right, it's the Origin Chasing Pill. Ouyang did not deny it but explained, West Mountain City is very dangerous. To ensure your and Hai-Er's safety, I've asked someone to refine 2 Origin Chasing Pills. Consume the Origin Chasing Pill. No matter where you and Hai-Er are in West Mountain City, I'll send someone to find you. Thank you, Father. Ouyang Hai did not hesitate and immediately swallowed the Origin Chasing Pill. At the same time, he stared at Ningyu provocatively. Gotcha. Ningyu was too lazy to care about Ouyang Hai. He tossed the Origin Chasing Pill into his mouth and chewed it. Good, very good. Seeing Ningyu swallow the Origin Chasing Pill, Ouyang nodded and said, let's not waste any more time. Ningyu set off with Hai-Er now. Upon saying this, Ouyang paused for a moment before he continued, the journey to West Mountain City is long, and there's a high chance that you'll encounter danger along the way. I'll ask Old Tan to go with you so that you can look after each other. Emperor, before we go to West Mountain City, I hope to send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Ningyu hesitated for a moment before he said, the country hasn't been very peaceful lately. I'm afraid that Lu Wei might be in danger. You don't have to worry about Lu Wei anymore. With Fengzi around, what's there to worry about? Ouyang obviously did not want Ningyu to have any contact with Danwu College. He said, even if you think that Fengzi is weak, there's still Li Tongtian. If the 2 of them join forces, I'm afraid even a yin-yang state martial artist would have to give up. This is not negotiable. I must send Lu Wei to Danwu College personally, Ningyu said in a deep voice, his tone unquestionable. Although Ouyang was putting it nicely, Ningyu knew that he was only saying one thing in front of Ningyu and another behind his back. Since he had invited Lu Wei here, he must be up to no good. If Lu Wei was trapped in the palace after he left, wouldn't he have no tears to shed? Ningyu, how can you talk to father like that? However, before Ouyang could speak, Ouyang Hai harumphed, I advise you to apologize to father, or else, it's fine, I know Ningyu cares about Lu Wei. Ouyang interrupted Ouyang Hai and said, I allow Ningyu to send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Are you serious? Ningyu raised his eyebrows, feeling that something was not right. Yes, Ouyang said. Let's go. After receiving Ouyang confirmation, Ningyu immediately left his seat and went to Lu Wei's side. Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei's hand and left the hall in a flash. Fengzi quickly followed behind Ningyu. Your Majesty, farewell. As for Li Tongtian, he bid farewell to Ouyang in a hurry and chased after Ningyu. Seeing that Ningyu and the rest had left the hall, Ouyang Hai was stunned and did not move an inch. What are you waiting for? Once Ningyu sends Lu Wei to Danwu College, you'll head to West Mountain City with him. Ouyang said coldly when he saw Ouyang Hai's stunned expression. Yes, I'll go now. Hearing Ouyang scolding, Ouyang Hai immediately left the hall. Old Tan had already received Ouyang order. He followed Ouyang Hai closely after he left the hall. The initially noisy hall became quiet again after Ningyu and the rest left. Thump, thump, thump. When everything quietened down, Ouyang knocked on the table out of habit again. Buzz buzz. Soon, a crack appeared in the space beside Ouyang and an old man appeared. Evil Eye, we can't let Ningyu and the rest enter Danwu College, no matter what. Chapter 491. Chapter 491 of HISTORY Block, The Way Understood. The old man called Evil Eye replied. Then, his body gradually fused with the void, disappearing in an instant. Dong, dong, dong. After the Evil Eye left, Ouyang Ba knocked on the table again. However, this time, Ouyang Ba wore an evil grin on his face as if he had everything planned out. Whoosh! Meanwhile, Ning Yu and Lu Wei had already left the palace. It was not easy to bring Lu Wei out of the imperial palace. Ning Yu would not allow her to be brought back again. Therefore, as soon as they left the palace, Ning Yu brought Lu Wei with him and rushed to Danwu College. As for Li Tongtian and Feng Zi, they followed closely behind at an extremely fast speed. Damn it! Seeing Ning Yu and the others speed up, the third prince was very angry. He was only at the pinnacle of the true martial realm and his speed was naturally slower than Ning Yu, Li Tongtian and the rest. Third prince, in my opinion, why don't we do this? Tai Xing knew that Ouyang Hai was furious, so he quietly whispered something in his ear. Amazing, truly amazing. Upon hearing Tai Xing's words, Ouyang Hai raised his eyebrows and revealed an evil smile. Haha, you flatter me, you flatter me. Tai Xing smiled and said proudly after receiving Ouyang Hai's praise. Tai Xing had been holding a grudge ever since Feng Xiao slapped him a few times. However, Tai Xing was not stupid. He knew that he was no match for Feng Zi. If he attacked rashly, he would only die. Now that the opportunity had come, he naturally would not miss it. Humph! What are you standing there for? And he's still laughing like an idiot. Before Tai Xing's laughter died away, Ouyang Hai coldly snorted and said, Hurry up and get ready. If Ning Yu enters Danwu College, I'll make sure you suffer the consequences. Yes, I'll go prepare now. After being berated by Ouyang Hai, Tai Xing did not even dare to let out a fart. He quickly turned around and left. You're also staying here like an idiot? Do you want me to personally send you off? Tai Xing's departure did not quell the anger in Ouyang Hai's heart. He pointed the spearhead at Bao Ming. Your Highness, I can walk by myself. Bao Ming knew that Ouyang Hai was like a barrel of dynamite that could explode at the slightest touch. Therefore, he did not hesitate and hurriedly chased after Tai Xing. Trash, 2 pieces of trash indeed. Even though Tai Xing and Bao Ming had left, Ouyang Hai's anger was not completely appeased. Instead, it made him even angrier. Not good. Suddenly, Ouyang Hai's expression changed. He shifted his gaze and looked at Ning Yu. Ouyang Hai was shocked by what he saw. Ning Yu was nowhere to be seen in front of him. Not even a strand of hair was seen. Helpless, Ouyang Hai could only chase after Ning Yu like a headless fly. I've finally gotten rid of Ouyang Hai. It wasn't easy. On a certain street in the capital, Feng Zi turned his head to take a look before letting out a long sigh. He said, If we rush at full speed, we'll only need 15 minutes at most to reach Danwu College. I'm afraid it's not practical to rush at full speed. Beside him, Ning Yu frowned. This is the capital and there are many pedestrians. If we rush at full speed, we'll inevitably attract attention. It'll be troublesome if Ouyang Hai catches up to us. Ning Yu, I know of a small path that leads straight to Danwu College. Just then, Li Tongtian took a step forward and said in a low voice, We'll only need 10 minutes to reach Danwu College from that small path. There's a small path? Ning Yu frowned slightly and asked in confusion. Of course. If you trust me, follow me. Li Tongtian nodded and said. Ning Yu thought for a moment and said, Let's not waste any more time. Lead the way. With Ouyang Hai's speed, he would probably reach Danwu College in 15 minutes. In other words, if Ning Yu wanted to enter Danwu College, he had to arrive before Ouyang Hai for there to be a chance. Otherwise, with Ouyang Hai blocking the entrance of Danwu College, Ning Yu would not be able to force his way in. Let's go. Seeing that Ning Yu did not reject him, Li Tongtian let out a low roar and immediately took off from the ground, heading in the direction of Danwu College. 5 minutes was too important to Ning Yu. With these 5 minutes, Ning Yu could enter Danwu College and make proper arrangements. At the very least, he had to find the dean of the Sacred Institute and entrust Lu Wei to him. Swoosh! Li Tongtian was indeed capable. He led Ning Yu and the rest around the capital, whether it was the open path or the hidden path. As time passed, they were getting closer and closer to Danwu College. Based on their speed, it would only take 7 to 8 minutes for Ning Yu and the rest to reach Danwu College. However, just as Ning Yu and the rest turned into an alley, the space in front of them was torn apart. Then, an old man slowly walked out. Gasp! Feeling the strong aura emanating from the old man, Ning Yu could not help but gasp. At the same time, his face darkened. The old man's eyes were filled with evil. This evil aura was so strong that it made Ning Yu feel extremely uncomfortable. Evil eye. Ning Yu moved and stood in front of Lu Wei. The old man's eyes were special. They were the 1-in-a-million evil eye. If ordinary martial artists were to be stared at by him, they would most likely go crazy. Not only does he have the evil eye, but his cultivation is also at the pinnacle of the intermediate yin-yang realm. Ning Yu clenched his fists tightly, his face grim. He was not here with good intentions. This old man was definitely not here with good intentions. Ning Yu did not think that a martial artist who had the evil eye and was at the pinnacle of the intermediate yin-yang realm would want to be friends with him. Hand over the woman, and I will let you go. The old man did not beat around the bush, and went straight to the point. Don't even think about resisting. You will not be able to bear the consequences of resisting. Also, I am not an unreasonable person. I will give you 3 seconds to think about it. After 3 seconds, I want a definite answer. 1, 2, 3. Time's up. The old man extended his right index finger, middle finger, and ring finger. He said coldly, "Tell me, are you going to hand her over, or do I have to use force?" Ning Yu did not expect the old man to be so shameless. It was not 3 seconds. It was not even a second. However, Ning Yu was firm from the beginning. He would not hand over Lu Wei. If you want to fight, then fight. Cut the crap. Ning Yu waved his hand and took out the soul-breaking sword. He said, I, Ning Yu, am not one to be scared. If you want to defeat me, you will have to pay a price. Sigh, young people these days are so arrogant. The evil-eyed elder softly sighed and changed the topic. I'll give you a chance. As long as you hand over that woman, Shut up! Before the old man could finish his sentence, Ning Yu rose from the ground with the soul-breaking sword in his hand and charged at the old man. Since he was going to fight, what was the point of talking? Chapter 492. Chapter 492. Reversal, hee, I have to say, you're really arrogant. Looking at Ning Yu who was approaching him, the devil-eyed old man's lips curled up into a sinister smile. In his eyes, Ning Yu was only a peak true martial realm martial artist, thus he was no match for him. I was planning to play with you, but I have something important to do, so I won't be accompanying you this time. The devil-eyed old man performed a hand seal with both of his hands and instantly launched a palm print. Not only was the palm print powerful, but it was also incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, the palm print arrived in front of Ning Yu and slammed onto Ning Yu's head. Solitaire. At the crucial moment, Ning Yu quickly waved the soul-breaking sword in his hand and instantly unleashed a sword wave. The sword wave and the devil-eyed old man's palm print collided with each other. Chi-chi. As the palm print and the sword wave collided, only a crisp sound was heard, before both the sword wave and the palm print dissipated into thin air. Seeing that his palm print had dissipated, the devil-eyed old man raised his eyebrows and was slightly surprised. Although he had only used 50% of his strength, he had killed a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist with 50% of his strength. The fact that Ning Yu was able to block his palm strike was enough to prove that Ning Yu was very powerful. It seems like I've underestimated you. The devil-eyed old man's face turned solemn as he shouted in a deep voice, Next, I'll show you what a real intermediate yin-yang realm martial artist looks like. Whoosh! As soon as he finished his words, the aura of the devil-eyed old man skyrocketed, suppressing Ningyu with a powerful aura. The devil-eyed old man's plan was simple: to overwhelm Ningyu with his aura and bring Lu Wei away without any bloodshed. Although Ouyang did not say it out loud, the devil-eyed old man clearly knew that Ouyang did not want Ningyu to be injured. Ouyang purpose was very clear. He only wanted him to bring Lu Wei back to the imperial palace. As for Ningyu, with the third prince and Elder Tan around, there shouldn't be any problems. You want to suppress me with your aura? How could it be so easy? Ever since his cultivation had advanced to the peak of the true martial realm, and the strength of his soul force had advanced to the peak of 5th grade, Ningyu was least afraid of imposing aura oppression. Unless it was an extremely powerful martial artist, it would be very difficult for anyone to overwhelm him in terms of aura. Even the evil-eyed elder, who had reached the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, couldn't do it. Li Tongtian, you and Fengzi bring Lu Wei to Danwu College first. I'll stop this old man. Ningyu growled at Li Tongtian as he withstood the pressure of the evil-eyed elder's aura. Be careful. Although Li Tongtian's cultivation was at the peak of the primal core realm, he was very clear of his own strength. He could still hold his own against martial artists who were half a step into the Yin-Yang realm or had just advanced to the early Yin-Yang realm. However, if he were to face a martial artist at the mid-Yin-Yang realm, only death would await him. He wouldn't even have the chance to escape. After agreeing to Ningyu, Li Tongtian grabbed Lu Wei and rushed towards Danwu College. Let go of me! However, Lu Wei suddenly broke free from Li Tongtian's grasp and said in a low voice, "At a time like this, you should be fighting alongside Ningyu, not choosing to run away." That sounds nice, but that evil-eyed martial artist is a martial artist at the peak of the mid-Yin-Yang realm. If Li Tongtian and I go up, we'll only add to his troubles. We won't be of any help at all. Fengzi couldn't help but grumble. Are you just going to leave Ningyu like this? Lu Wei continued to berate. Go! After being berated by Lu Wei, Li Tongtian and Fengzi's expressions turned ugly. Lu Wei was right. If they left Ningyu to fight alone, they would definitely feel bad. Even if he died, he would still be a good man after 18 years. Swish! Swish! The next moment, Fengzi and Li Tongtian formed a seal with both hands and instantly joined the battle. Damn it, who asked you to come here? Seeing Fengzi and Li Tongtian come over, Ningyu was so angry that his face turned green. Originally, the evil-eyed elder had only used his aura to suppress them, which was not enough to do anything to him. Now that Fengzi and Li Tongtian had joined the battle, the situation changed in an instant. The evil-eyed elder retracted his aura and launched a frenzied attack. With the evil-eyed elder's cultivation at the peak of the mid-Yin-Yang realm and his pair of evil eyes, even 3 early Yin-Yang realm martial artists would have to retreat, not to mention Li Tongtian, who was only at the peak of the primal core realm among Ningyu's group. Ning! Hearing Ningyu's words, Fengzi and Li Tongtian wanted to reply, but they quickly retreated, having no choice but to deal with the powerful attacks from the evil-eyed elder. The evil-eyed elder was indeed heaven-defying, able to fight 1 against 3 with ease. However, every time the evil-eyed elder wanted to avoid Ningyu and the rest to capture Lu Wei, Ningyu would always be able to cut him off with a sword wave in time, blocking his path. Then, Fengzi and Li Tongtian would launch a powerful attack on him, as if they had gone mad. Although Fengzi and Li Tongtian were not able to hurt the evil-eyed elder, their harassment really infuriated the evil-eyed elder. You forced me to do this. After enduring for 3 to 4 minutes, the evil-eyed elder finally could not take it anymore. First, he forced Ningyu to retreat, then his body shot forward, appearing in front of Fengzi and Li Tongtian in an instant. Thump! Thump! 2 crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Fengzi and Li Tongtian were like kites with their strings cut, their bodies falling backward. The evil-eyed elder was indeed frightened by Fengzi and Li Tongtian. He had used a full 30% of his strength, causing Fengzi and Li Tongtian to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood, their auras extremely weak. Ningyu, I'll give you one last chance, the evil-eyed elder said to Ningyu after forcing Fengzi and Li Tongtian back with one move. No need, I don't need you to give me a chance. At this time, Ningyu instead calmed down. He waved his hand and interrupted the evil-eyed elder, saying, I have a question to ask you. Oh my, you still want to ask me a question? The evil-eyed elder's eyes widened, as if he had heard something unbelievable. Are you sent by His Majesty? After saying this, Ningyu stared straight into the evil-eyed elder's eyes, hoping to discover some clues. Unfortunately, the evil-eyed elder's face was as calm as an ancient well, without the slightest change. Is it important who sent me? The evil-eyed elder asked calmly. It's important, very important. Ningyu smiled slightly and said, If you were sent by the Emperor, I might have spared your life. If you weren't sent by the Emperor, then you might die here with a grievance today. Die here with a grievance? The evil-eyed elder pointed at his own nose, then laughed loudly. CKU, a martial artist at the pinnacle of the true martial realm. What? However, the evil-eyed elder's laughter very quickly came to an abrupt halt, because he realized that the space around Ningyu had suddenly broken apart into a tiny crack. Crack! Chapter 493. Chapter 493 Death to Seize, Yin-Yang Realm. Peak Late Stage. When the evil-eyed old man saw the cultivator beside Ningyu, he gaped in disbelief. Although the cultivators beside Ningyu had deliberately concealed their cultivation, the evil-eyed old man's evil eyes were not for show. He easily discovered the cultivation of the cultivators beside Ningyu. Peak Late Yin-Yang Realm. It was even a level higher than him. Since when did Ningyu have such an expert by his side? Could he be from Danwu College? Thinking of this, the evil-eyed old man's expression turned ugly. He asked in a deep voice, May I ask if you're from Danwu College? You still haven't answered my question. Were you sent by the Emperor? The peak late stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist didn't answer the evil-eyed old man's question. Instead, Ningyu said faintly, If you are, I can spare your life. If not, you will probably be in some trouble. Humph. If I want to leave, a mere late-stage Yin-Yang Realm cultivator won't be able to stop me. The evil-eyed old man snorted coldly before leaping up, intending to leave this area. Bang! However, as soon as the evil-eyed old man moved, the void beside him was torn apart. Then, a cultivator emerged and blocked his path. Middle Yin-Yang Realm. Looking at the cultivator in front of him, the evil-eyed old man's face instantly turned cold. His heart sank to rock bottom. He had a 50% chance of escaping from a peak late Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. However, if another Yin-Yang Realm martial artist appeared, his chances of escaping would drop to a freezing point. It would be almost impossible for him to escape. After all, the Yin-Yang Realm martial artist was very close to him. As long as he launched a powerful attack, he would have to fight back. Whoosh! Perhaps he had seen through the evil-eyed old man's thoughts. The middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist instantly launched a frenzied attack on the evil-eyed old man. Helpless, the evil-eyed old man could only accept the challenge. The evil-eyed old man was a peak middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, so he naturally had the upper hand against a middle-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. However, the evil-eyed old man was not in the mood to continue fighting. Right now, he only wanted to escape, so the two sides were evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. Who are these two martial artists? Not far away, Li Tongtian stood up from the ground. Staring at the two Yin-Yang state martial artists who had suddenly appeared, he asked curiously, Why haven't I seen them before? I don't know him either. Fengzi also stood up. He shook his head and said, I've never seen them interact with Ningyu before. Could they be from Danwu College? Impossible, they are definitely not from Danwu College. Li Tongtian refuted Feng Zi's words. How did you know? You seem to know a lot about Danwu College. Feng Zi frowned. Don't worry about it. Anyway, these two martial artists are not from Danwu College. Li Tongtian took a deep breath and said, from their performance, they seem to be obeying Ningyu's orders. At this moment, Li Tongtian's heart was in turmoil. Ningyu was only at the peak of the true martial realm, but the two martial artists who had appeared were both at the yin-yang realm. One of them was even at the peak of the late-stage yin-yang realm. But these two peak martial artists were actually very respectful to Ningyu. Li Tongtian couldn't help but be suspicious. I don't care if they listen to Ningyu's orders or not. I only care about whether I can defeat the evil-eyed martial artist. Feng Zi's focus was obviously on the evil-eyed martial artist. The evil-eyed martial artist had injured Feng Zi, which made him angry out of humiliation. If the evil-eyed martial artist was defeated later, Feng Zi would definitely go up and teach him a lesson. Alchemy Master, go and help Wang Haiba. Quickly defeat the evil-eyed old man. I still have use for him. Originally, Ningyu wanted to kill the evil-eyed old man. But considering that the evil-eyed old man was most likely a martial artist sent by the emperor, keeping him alive might have an unexpected effect. Therefore, Ningyu did not let the alchemy master kill the evil-eyed old man. Instead, he wanted him to capture the evil-eyed old man alive. Understood. Hearing Ningyu's instructions, the alchemy master rushed out and instantly joined the battle. Bam! With the addition of the alchemy master, the evil-eyed old man did not last long and was defeated. Swoosh! Then, the alchemy master grabbed the evil-eyed old man and threw him in front of Ningyu. I'll ask you one last time. Are you sent by the emperor? Ningyu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at the evil-eyed old man. Now that things have come to this, what I say is useless. If you want to kill me, do as you please. The evil-eyed old man had some backbone and said coldly. Hee hee, you don't want to say it? I have ways to make you say it. Ningyu smiled and immediately changed the topic. He said to the alchemy master, take good care of him. The inner demon pill was an extremely peculiar elixir. As time passed, its medicinal effect became more and more powerful. As for the alchemist hall master, he had swallowed a total of 2 inner demon pills. Although he had resisted Ningyu in the beginning due to his pride, he could not muster the slightest bit of resistance now. Once he wanted to resist Ningyu, he would suffer inhuman pain. The reason why Ningyu let the alchemy master out of the storage ring was firstly because the inner demon pill's medicinal effect was completely unleashed. Secondly, Sun Jiangwen found the medicinal ingredients in the storage ring and refined the appearance change pill to change the appearance of the alchemy master and the others. Otherwise, Ningyu would definitely not let the alchemy master out of the storage ring. After all, the capital was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. If an expert were to pass by and discover the Yin Corpse sex aura on the alchemy master, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yes, the alchemy master replied and immediately walked toward the evil-eyed old man step by step. Xiao. However, before the alchemy master could reach the evil-eyed old man, the latter's eyes suddenly widened and a wisp of gas shot out. The gas was black and about the size of a pinky finger. The black gas was extremely fast. It arrived in front of the alchemy master in almost an instant. Humph! You dare to use an eye technique in front of me? The alchemy master coldly snorted as he looked at the black gas. His eyes immediately turned cold and a wisp of gas shot out. However, the gas shot out from the alchemy master's eyes was green. Chi! The 2 wisps of gas collided and disappeared. Oh no, someone is coming. Alchemy master, quickly bring the evil-eyed old man into the storage ring. Just as the alchemy master was about to launch a second attack, Ningyu's words rang in his ears, causing him to be slightly taken aback. After a momentary daze, the hall master of the alchemy division grabbed hold of the evil-eyed elder. Then, under the astonished gazes of Li Tongtian and the others, he turned into a blur and entered Ningyu's storage ring. Xiao. On the other side, Wang Haibo did not hesitate either. He immediately moved his body and entered the storage ring like the alchemy master. Xiao. Xiao. Chapter 494. Leave. Ningyu, you really made it easy for me to find you. Ningyu was very familiar with the two martial artists who suddenly appeared. One was the third prince, Oyanghai, and the other was Elder Tan, who was at the early stage of Yin-Yang realm. Oyanghai looked at Ningyu and smirked. Aren't you going to Danwu College? What are you doing here? Ningyu ignored Oyanghai and was more interested in Elder Tan. Not long ago, when Ningyu left the palace, Elder Tan and Oyanghai followed behind him. But after a period of time, Elder Tan disappeared into thin air and was nowhere to be seen. And now, Elder Tan's cultivation had reached the limit of early stage of Yin-Yang realm, and there were faint signs of him breaking through to middle stage of Yin-Yang realm. It could be said that if Elder Tan was willing, he could advance to middle stage Yin-Yang realm at any time. Ningyu, are you King listening to me? Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring him, Oyanghai was very angry and said furiously, I'm asking you slap. However, before Oyanghai could finish his sentence, a figure flashed in front of him. A clear and melodious sound suddenly rang out in the area. Touching the bloodstains on his face, Oyanghai's mouth was slightly agape with a dumbfounded expression. On his face, there were 5 blood-colored marks, which were extremely dazzling. Ningyu, I want you dead. After a brief moment of shock, Oyanghai shouted like a madman, Elder Tan, quickly take action and take down Ningyu for me. I'm going to skin him alive and pull out his tendons. Third Prince, don't be impatient. Elder Tan did not take action immediately. Instead, he stood on the spot and said indifferently, my mission is to protect your safety. As for the conflict between you two, you can settle it yourselves. Are you kidding me? Hearing Elder Tan's words, Oyanghai opened his mouth again. But this time, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Oyanghai understood that it was almost impossible to get Old Tan to take action again. If he wanted to teach Ningyu a lesson, he could only rely on his own power. Ningyu, if there's nothing else, quickly send Lu Wei to Danwu College. Elder Tan ignored the third prince's gloomy expression and turned to Ningyu, saying, Shishan City has sent another urgent report, saying that the chaos has expanded once again. They want us to depart immediately. I know what I'm doing. Ningyu furrowed his brows and lightly said, Give me 20 minutes. We'll meet at the city gate in 20 minutes. As he spoke, Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei and dashed out of the alley. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi followed closely behind, disappearing in an instant. Old Tan, is there really an urgent report from Western Mountain City? Oyanghai asked doubtfully when he saw that Ningyu and the others had disappeared. It's not an urgent report from Western Mountain City. It's news from His Majesty. Looking at the backs of Ningyu and the others, Old Tan lightly said, His Majesty's intentions are very clear. Ningyu will never enter Danwu College. Now let's wait at the city gate. Ningyu will definitely appear in 20 minutes. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Old Tan took the lead and left. After Old Tan left, Oyanghai's lips curled up and he laughed sinisterly. It's not convenient for me to make a move in the capital. Once we leave the capital, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. With that, Oyanghai's figure flashed and he dashed towards the city gate of the capital. Swoosh. Swoosh. At the same time, Ningyu and Lu Wei were moving at a very fast speed, shuttling left and right in the capital. Not long after, Ningyu and the others stopped near the main entrance of Danwu College. Ningyu, I won't be going in. Li Tongtian waved his hand as if he did not want to enter Danwu College. I won't be going in either. Feng Zi, who was beside him, echoed, Li Tongtian and I will wait for you here. Wait for me for 20 minutes. Ningyu did not argue and directly led Lu Wei towards Danwu College. It was not until Ningyu and Lu Wei entered Danwu College that Li Tongtian murmured, I didn't expect Ningyu to be so strong. Originally, Li Tongtian thought that Ningyu's martial arts strength was on par with his. At best, Ningyu was only slightly stronger than him. After what happened in the alley earlier, Li Tongtian changed his view of Ningyu. Not only was he strong, but there were even stronger people who listened to his orders. In this world, there were many martial artists who were strong, but there were very few who could make people stronger than them listen to their orders. Now Li Tongtian could basically conclude that Ningyu's backing was very strong, even comparable to his. Feng Zi, how much do you know about Ningyu? At the thought of this, Li Tongtian could not help but look at Feng Zi, hoping to learn more about Ningyu from him. Ningyu is a very scary person, Feng Zi said in a low voice. He has a lot of secrets. Take the storage ring on his wrist for example. I didn't know that there were 2 Yin-Yang realm martial artists in it until just now. Dharma treasures that can store living things are indeed very precious, Li Tongtian said. I advise you not to have any ideas about Ningyu, or you will end up in a terrible state. If Li Tongtian had not teamed up with him to fight against the evil-eyed elder, Feng Zi would definitely not have warned Li Tongtian. After all, there were countless martial artists who had fallen in the hands of Ningyu. Feng Zi did not want Li Tongtian to be one of them. I'm just asking. There are still 20 minutes. Let's wait here for Ningyu. Li Tongtian's heart skipped a beat, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he said, when Ningyu comes out from Danwu College, I want to go to West Mountain City with him. I will go too, Feng Zi said in a low voice. Time flew. While Feng Zi and Li Tongtian were talking, 20 minutes had passed. Swoosh. Suddenly, a figure flew out from Danwu College. This figure was none other than Ningyu. Let's go to the city gate. Ningyu paused for a second, then rose from the ground, turned into a shadow, and rushed towards the city gate. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi looked at each other, then rushed out in unison, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Old Tan, 20 minutes have passed. Don't tell me Ningyu is not coming? At the city gate, the third prince, Ouyang Hai, was pacing back and forth, looking very anxious. Indeed, Ningyu said that he would be here in 20 minutes. 20 minutes had passed, but there was no sign of Ningyu. No wonder Ouyang Hai was so anxious. Bao Ming and Tai Xing had already sent back news that everything had been arranged. If Ningyu did not come at this time, wouldn't his efforts be in vain? Don't worry, Ningyu will definitely come. Old Tan did not suspect Ningyu at all. He knew that Ningyu would definitely come. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Sure enough, just as Old Tan's voice faded, 3 figures shot out from the capital. Chapter 495. Spirit Fox. After leaving Danwu College, Ningyu, Li Tongtian, and the rest did not stop at all. They even increased their speed to the maximum and very soon, they appeared at the city gates of the capital. Ningyu, you're finally here. As soon as Ningyu landed, Ouyang Hai stepped forward and said with a smile, I thought you weren't coming. I'm a man of my words. If I say I'll come, I'll definitely come. Ningyu glanced at Ouyang Hai and said faintly, unlike some people who act one way on the surface and another way behind their backs. You. Ouyang Hai couldn't help but clench his fist. However, this time, he restrained the anger in his heart and thought to himself, I'll let you show off a little longer. Once we're far from the capital, you'll see. Ningyu, there's no time to lose. Let's set off as soon as possible. Old Tan seemed to be used to the argument between Ouyang Hai and Ningyu as he waved his hand. Don't tell me we're just going to go over like this? Ningyu frowned and said in a low voice. West Mountain City was very far from the capital, and even with the support of an endless supply of vital energy, an early primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner would still need about 10 days to fly there. If he were to encounter danger on the way, the consequences would be unimaginable. Of course not. Before Elder Tan could speak, Ouyang Hai said coldly, West Mountain City borders the Lanqing Nation. Let's go to Wu Tua City first, and then ride a flying demon beast from there. We still have to go to Wu Tua City. Ning Yu's expression was a little cold. He didn't know what Ouyang Hai was trying to do. Logically speaking, the capital was much larger and more prosperous than West Mountain City. If the West Mountain City had flying demonic beasts, the capital would definitely have them too. Why did Ouyang Hai take the unnecessary step of riding a flying beast from Wu Tua City? What, you don't dare? Ouyang Hai raised his eyebrows and said coldly, If you don't dare, just say it. I can use flying beasts from the capital. Why wouldn't I dare? Ning Yu's principle of doing things was to deal with soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. In the storage ring were the Pill Refinement Palace Lord, who was at the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang advanced stage, Wang Haiba, who was at the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang stage, and even Ma Wei and 2 other martial artists at the initial stage of the Yin-Yang stage. With such a strong backup force, Ning Yu was confident that he could escape even if a Yin-Yang realm pinnacle martial artist came. If Ouyang Hai dared to play any tricks, Ning Yu wouldn't mind letting him suffer a little. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With that, Ning Yu shot a look at Li Tongtian and Feng Zi before his figure flashed, and he dashed off into the distance. Third Prince, let's go. Seeing that Ning Yu and the others had left, Old Tan also rose from the ground and turned into an afterimage as he chased after them. Hee, I've worn out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it effortlessly by chance. The corner of Ouyang Hai's mouth curled up. He laughed evilly for a while before speeding up with all his might. Whoosh! Ning Yu's speed wasn't very fast. He kept a distance from Ouyang Hai, making it impossible for Ouyang Hai to catch up or fall down. Ning Yu, I still feel that there's a problem. After flying for 2 to 4 hours, Li Tongtian frowned. It doesn't make sense that we have to pass through Wu Tua City to go to West Mountain City. I also know that there's a problem, Ning Yu said as he flew. In the face of absolute power, all schemes are futile. That's true. Li Tongtian nodded as he looked at the storage ring on Ning Yu's wrist. The memory of the 2 powerful martial artists in the storage ring was still fresh in Li Tongtian's mind. If Ouyang Hai really dared to play any tricks, he would probably vomit blood in anger. Oh right, are we really going to West Mountain City? Suddenly, Li Tongtian seemed to have thought of something and said, It's the Alchemy Union's competition in a few days. If we leave now, we'll probably miss the competition. Let's go to West Mountain City and see what's going on. Ning Yu knew that the competition was about to begin. Heading to West Mountain City now was truly a helpless move. However, Ning Yu still wanted to say something, but his expression changed drastically and his legs stopped abruptly. Wait for it to settle down. Not good. Whoosh! Right then, a crack appeared in the space in front of Ning Yu. Then, a few martial artists surged out from within. Looking at the sudden appearance of these martial artists, even if Ning Yu had a strong trump card, he could not help but gasp as his heart sank to the bottom. There weren't many martial artists surging out from the crack, only 5. However, among these 5 martial artists, the lowest cultivation was at early stage Yin-Yang realm. There was even a martial artist whose cultivation was at late stage Yin-Yang realm peak. A late stage Yin-Yang realm peak, 2 mid-stage and 2 early stage Yin-Yang realm. Such a strong lineup was truly terrifying. Who are you? Behind Ning Yu, Old Tan naturally noticed these martial artists as well. Relatively speaking, Old Tan's expression was much uglier. Ouyang Ba had instructed him to be responsible for the safety of Ning Yu and the third prince, and to send them safely to West Mountain City. Now that 5 pinnacle martial artists had appeared out of nowhere, he felt somewhat helpless. Ning Yu's safety was secondary. If the third Prince Ouyang Hai was killed, even if he returned to the capital, Ouyang Ba would not let him off. Who we are is not important. What's important is that someone is willing to pay essence crystals to buy your lives. Among the 5 martial artists, a late-stage Yin-Yang Realm Peak laughed weirdly and said, 5 martial artists, 1 for each. That's fair. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Just as the late-stage Yin-Yang Realm Peak martial artist finished his sentence, the 4 martial artists beside him flashed and each found an opponent. 2 early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artists faced off against Ning Yu and the third prince respectively. 2 mid-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artists faced off against Feng Zi and Li Tongtian. As for the late-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, he stood in front of Old Tan and did not make a move immediately. The first to make a move was the martial artist facing off against Ouyang Hai. Ouyang Hai was only at the peak of the real martial realm, so naturally, he was no match for the early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist. The result was obvious. Ouyang Hai was punched in the chest by the early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, and his body was sent flying. So weak. After defeating Ouyang Hai in one move, the early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist shrugged his shoulders and smiled. The rich man this time is really rich. He actually spent so many essence crystals to kill a few small fries. TSK, in this way, I can earn a lot of essence crystals with one move, and they are all supreme grade. Spirit Fox number 2, number 3, number 4, don't just stand there and do nothing. Hurry up and kill them. Seeing that Spirit Fox number 5 had succeeded, the late-stage Yin-Yang Realm Peak martial artist waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Our Spirit Fox team never goes on a mission for more than an hour. This time is no exception." Understood. Spirit Fox number 2, number 3, and number 4 answered almost at the same time. Then, Spirit Fox number 4 rushed towards Ningyu. An early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, looking at the approaching Spirit Fox number 4, Ningyu took a deep breath and flipped his palm backward. Then, the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Against an early-stage Yin-Yang Realm martial artist, Ningyu was not too afraid. Chapter 496. Let's attack too. Let's attack too. Seeing Spirit Fox number 4 make his move, Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2 did not remain idle. They rose from the ground and charged towards Feng Zi and Li Tongtian respectively. Spirit Fox number 3 and Spirit Fox number 2 were at the intermediate stage of the Yin-Yang realm and were extremely powerful. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi were both at the Yuan Dan realm. How could they be a match for them? Bam! Bam! The result was obvious. Li Tongtian and Feng Zi were both hit in the chest by the hard fists and fell backwards. 2 mouthfuls of fresh blood spurted from Li Tongtian and Feng Zi's mouth. Li Tongtian was slightly better off. After all, he was at the peak of the Yuan Dan realm and was much stronger than Feng Zi. Even so, Li Tongtian still felt a dull pain in his chest. As for Feng Zi, it was much more serious. After the early Yuan Dan realm, Feng Zi spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face turned pale and bloodless. TSK, I didn't expect an early Yuan Dan realm warrior to take a punch from me and not die. His vitality is indeed strong. Seeing that he did not kill Feng Zi in one move, Spirit Fox number 3 smirked and said, I only used 20% of my strength in the first move. Next, I will use 50% of my strength. Swoosh. In the next moment, Spirit Fox number 3 leaped up and punched towards Feng Zi's head with raging Yuan Qi. This punch of Spirit Fox number 3 was extremely powerful. If Feng Zi was unlucky enough to be hit in the head, he would definitely die on the spot. Bam! In a flash, a figure appeared in front of Feng Zi. A punch that could not be avoided collided with Spirit Fox No. 3's fist. As the two fists collided, a clear sound resounded across the entire region. In the next instant, the two figures were pushed back. Ningyu? Feng Zi had already lost all hope. When he saw Ningyu suddenly appear in front of him, his jaw dropped and his face was filled with disbelief. Wasn't Ningyu fighting with Spirit Fox No. 4? Why did he have time to help him? As he thought about it, Feng Zi could not help but shift his gaze to the other side. Feng Zi sucked in a breath of cold air. His mouth was so wide that a fist could fit in it. Not far away, Spirit Fox No. 4 was lying on the ground. Her left hand was clutching her right hand, and her face was filled with pain. Ningyu defeated Spirit Fox No. 4 so quickly? Feng Zi knew that Ningyu was very strong. He knew that Ningyu would definitely be able to defeat the early-stage Yin-Yang Realm Spirit Fox 4. However, Feng Zi did not expect Ningyu to defeat Spirit Fox No. 4 so quickly. Furthermore, from Spirit Fox No. 4's expression, it was clear that he was in extreme pain. Gotcha! Spirit Fox No. 4's miserable state naturally caused Spirit Fox No. 1's expression to change drastically. In an instant, he arrived in front of Spirit Fox No. 4. Immediately after, Spirit Fox No. 1 exerted some strength in his palm and reconnected Spirit Fox No. 4's broken wrist. What the F***ck are you all standing there for? Attack quickly, don't leave a single one alive. Spirit Fox No. 4's injury seemed to have angered Spirit Fox No. 1. He began to give orders. Leave this martial artist at the pinnacle of the real martial realm to me. The rest of the martial artists, attack together and kill them as soon as possible. Right, remember not to underestimate anyone. In the end, Spirit Fox No. 1 added, in this world, there will always be someone better than you. If you are careless, you will fail miserably. I do not wish for something like Spirit Fox No. 4 to happen again. Let's go. Hearing Spirit Fox No. 1's words, Ningyu immediately leaped up, grabbed Feng Zi, and quickly flew into the distance. As for Li Tongtian, he used all his strength and even burned his Yuan Qi and soul power to follow closely behind Ningyu. Li Tongtian was not a fool. He knew that staying behind would only lead to death. Moreover, Ningyu did not seem to want to reveal his trump card here. He could only follow behind Ningyu with all his might. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to do it myself? Seeing Spirit Fox No. 3 and Spirit Fox No. 2 standing there in a daze, Spirit Fox No. 1 flew into a rage and said, if our Spirit Fox squad's record is broken here, you should be very clear about the consequences. Chase. Hearing Spirit Fox No. 1's words, Spirit Fox No. 3 and Spirit Fox No. 2's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly dashed out and chased after Ningyu and the others. Spirit Fox Squad. You are from the Assassination Pavilion. When Spirit Fox No. 1 said that they were from the Spirit Fox Squad, Old Tan did not notice it. Now that he heard it for the second time, he immediately reacted. In the Assassination Pavilion, there were several strong squads. As the Spirit Fox Squad had a martial artist at the pinnacle of the late Yin-Yang realm, they could be ranked in the top 3 among the many squads in the Assassination Pavilion. Don't you think it's a little too late to react now? Spirit Fox No. 1 smiled and said. It's not too late, not at all. Old Tan said in a deep voice, since you are from the Spirit Fox Squad, you should know who the pinnacle of the real martial realm martial artist was. To tell you the truth, he is the third prince. If you kill him here, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Even the Assassination Pavilion will be annihilated because of this matter. Do you think I'm scared? Spirit Fox No. 1 raised his eyebrows and said coldly, Number 5, bring the so-called third prince here. Spirit Fox No. 5 did not dare to delay and hurriedly carried Ouyang high over. Bang! Spirit Fox number 5 casually threw Ouyang Hai to the ground and took a step back. If I kill all of you here, who else can tell on me? Spirit Fox number 1 said sinisterly. Forget it. You are all going to die anyway. I won't talk nonsense with you. Spirit Fox number 1 shrugged and continued. I'll kill you now to prevent any more unforeseen events. Third Prince, hurry up and leave. I'll stop them. At this moment, Old Tan took a step forward and directly launched a powerful attack at Spirit Fox number 1. Although Old Tan was only at the early Yin-Yang realm, when he went crazy, his strength could not be underestimated. In addition, he could advance to the middle Yin-Yang realm at any time. Therefore, his attack caused quite a bit of trouble for Spirit Fox number 1. Swoosh! While Old Tan and Spirit Fox number 1 were fighting, Ouyang Hai seized the opportunity and quickly rushed out. However, the direction that Ouyang Hai rushed out was the direction that Ning Yu had escaped to. Swoosh! Behind Ouyang Hai, Spirit Fox number 5's eyes turned cold as he chased after him. Poochie! Not long after Ouyang Hai disappeared, Spirit Fox number 1 found a flaw in Old Tan's defense and punched Old Tan's chest. The huge force coming from his chest caused Old Tan's expression to change drastically. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Spirit Fox number 4, you stay here and watch this old man. Wait for me to finish off the rest of the martial artists before we leave together. Chapter 497. Easy Kill. Swoosh! 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 In a dense forest outside the capital city, several figures moved at lightning speed. Their toes tapped lightly on the treetops, and they disappeared in an instant. There were 2 groups of figures. There were 3 in the front and 2 at the back. The figures in front were none other than Ning Yu, Li Tongtian, and the rest. At this moment, Ning Yu grabbed Feng Zi's arm tightly and pushed his speed to the limit. He turned into a shadow and disappeared in an instant. The 2 figures at the back were Spirit Fox's number 2 and number 3. After being scolded by Spirit Fox number 1, Spirit Fox number 2 and number 3 secretly made up their minds to capture Ning Yu no matter what and grind his bones into ashes. Whoosh! However, after flying for a period of time, Ning Yu actually stopped moving forward. Instead, he stopped. What's going on? Ning Yu's sudden stop caused Spirit Fox number 2 and number 3 to be slightly startled. Their faces revealed a puzzled expression. Logically speaking, they were at the intermediate Yin-Yang state. No matter how strong Ning Yu was, he was no match for them. Therefore, Ning Yu's decision to stop now was most likely a trap. Humph! No matter what, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are useless. Although Spirit Fox number 2 guessed that Ning Yu might be playing a trick, he did not take it to heart. Just as he had said, as long as one was strong, one would not be afraid of any schemes. Idiot! Hearing Spirit Fox number 2's words, Ning Yu shrugged and spat out 2 words. Ning Yu, who are you calling an idiot? Spirit Fox number 2 could not believe his ears. His eyes widened in shock. Whoever yells the loudest is an idiot, Ning Yu said calmly. He did not take Spirit Fox number 2 seriously at all. Good, very good, very good. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 2 calmed down. He was terrifyingly calm. He took a step forward and exerted the aura of the middle stage of Yin-Yang realm, suppressing Ning Yu. Voila! Spirit Fox number 3 didn't stay idle either. He unleashed his Yin-Yang intermediate stage aura and worked with Spirit Fox number 2 to suppress Ning Yu. In the eyes of Spirit Fox number 2 and Spirit Fox number 3, the martial art practitioner who posed the greatest threat to them was Ning Yu. As long as they could get rid of Ning, the remaining Feng Zi and Li Tongtian were nothing to be afraid of. Hee. Ning Yu did not resist at all as he felt the powerful aura pressing down on him. Instead, he crossed his arms in front of him and said with a smile, I really admire you. You can still smile in the face of death. Oh no. Seeing that Ningyu was not dodging, and was even smiling foolishly, Spirit Fox number 2 could not help but smile. The Spirit Fox number 2 was halfway through its sentence when its pupils shrank. It could not help but retreat. Bang! Bang! However, the speed at which Spirit Fox number 2 retreated was clearly slower. Just as he moved his feet, a crack appeared in the space beside him. Immediately, a figure appeared from within. After this figure appeared, it clenched its fists and punched Spirit Fox number 2's chest fiercely under his horrified gaze. Without any suspense, Spirit Fox number 2's chest was hit by the two fists. His body flew several feet away before he could stabilize himself. After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Spirit Fox number 2's aura was slightly weak. "Who are you?" Seeing that Spirit Fox number 2 was defeated in one move, Spirit Fox number 3's expression turned extremely solemn. He shouted at the figure that suddenly appeared, "You will suffer for offending the Spirit Fox team." Spirit Fox number 3 was not stupid. In fact, he was very smart. He knew that he was no match for the martial art practitioner that suddenly appeared. Therefore, he wanted to delay for time and wait for Spirit Fox number 1 to arrive. Spirit Fox number 1 was the same as the martial art practitioner in front of him. They were both at the peak of the advanced yin-yang state. As long as Spirit Fox number 1 arrived, he would be able to kill Ningyu with his secret technique. Noisy. Go and kill this so-called Spirit Fox number 3. Ningyu could not be bothered with Spirit Fox number 3's scolding. He directly gave the order to the hall leader of the alchemy division. Immediately, Ningyu sent a voice transmission to Wang Haiba, who was in the storage ring. "Wang Haiba, Spirit Fox number 2. Forget it. Leave Spirit Fox number 2 to me." Originally, Ningyu wanted to ask Wang Haiba to come out. However, when he remembered that Spirit Fox number 2 had been seriously injured by the hall leader of the alchemy division, he gave up on the idea. Ningyu alone was enough to deal with a seriously injured yin-yang state intermediate stage martial art practitioner. Solitaire. In the next moment, Ningyu grabbed the air with his right hand, and the soul-severing sword appeared in his hand. Immediately, Ningyu injected his primordial qi into the soul-severing sword. In an instant, a shocking sword wave appeared. Damn it! Although Spirit Fox number 2 was seriously injured, he still kept an eye on Ningyu. When Ningyu used the solitaire, Spirit Fox number 2's face darkened. He did not have time to think and immediately retreated. Spirit Fox number 2 was very clear that if he was hit by Ningyu's sword wave, he would be crippled even if he did not die. Right now, there was only one thing he could do: delay. If he delayed until Spirit Fox number 1 arrived, it would be the time of Ningyu's death. Revolving palm. How could Ningyu give Spirit Fox number 2 a chance? After he used the solitaire, he wrapped his soul power and primordial qi around his palm. Then, he stomped on the ground and dashed out. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu dashed out, the solitaire arrived in front of Spirit Fox number 2. Fortunately, Spirit Fox number 2 dodged in time. Otherwise, this solitaire alone would be enough to kill him. Swoosh! However, before Spirit Fox number 2 could relax, he realized that Ningyu had already arrived in front of him. Then, a palm filled with violent primordial qi and terrifying soul power landed on his heart under his horrified gaze. Bang! Spirit Fox number 2 was already seriously injured by the alchemist hall master. Now, he was hit by Ningyu's solitaire and revolving palm. In an instant, his aura dissipated. At this moment, Spirit Fox number 2 of the Spirit Fox team died on the spot. What? Just as the Spirit Fox number 2 was killed, two figures approached from afar and appeared in the area. Among the two figures, one was a martial artist at the peak of the real martial realm. His eyes were fixed on Spirit Fox number 2, who had died tragically on the ground. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The martial artist at the peak of the real martial realm was Ouyang Hai. He did not expect that Spirit Fox number 2, who was at the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm, would be killed by Ningyu. Damn it! However, Ouyang Hai was shocked by what happened next. His eyes moved slightly. When he saw the figure fighting with Spirit Fox number 3, his eyes were filled with shock. Although Ouyang Hai's cultivation was only at the peak of the real martial realm, he could also see that the martial artist fighting with Spirit Fox number 3 was at the peak of the late stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Why did Ningyu have such a powerful martial artist by his side? Ouyang Hai, I knew that this matter was related to you. Chapter 498. Chapter 498 of the PS to kill Ouyang Hai. Humph. Nonsense. Hearing Ningyu's words, Ouyang Hai coldly snorted. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ouyang Hai, stop pretending. Just now, Spirit Fox number 2 had already explained everything. Li Tongtian took a step forward and said in a deep voice, You sent men to the Assassin Pavilion and spent transcendent-grade essence crystals to hire the Spirit Fox team, all for the sake of getting rid of us in one fell swoop. That's pure nonsense. Ouyang Hai berated. Li Tongtian, I have no enmity with you. Why are you slandering me? Poochie. Suddenly, the Alchemist Hall Master grasped the opportunity and punched Spirit Fox number 3's heart. In an instant, Spirit Fox number 3's heart was pierced and he died on the spot. Whoosh! Spirit Fox 3's tragic death caused the expression of Spirit Fox 5, who had just arrived, to change drastically. His heart sank to the bottom. When he first arrived, Spirit Fox number 2 was killed by Ningyu. Now, Spirit Fox number 3 had been killed by a martial artist at the peak of the late-stage Yin-Yang realm. In just a few minutes, the Spirit Fox team had already lost 2 intermediate Yin-Yang state warriors. It could be imagined that the next martial artist to be killed would most likely be him. Spirit Fox number 5, I have a question for you. This is also your only chance of survival. After dealing with Spirit Fox number 2 and Spirit Fox number 3, Ningyu turned his attention to Spirit Fox number 5. He said calmly, Did Ouyang Hai send you here? When we, the Spirit Fox team, take on missions, we never know who our employers are. Spirit Fox number 5 said coldly. Haha, you do have some pride. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and smiled. It's fine if you don't know who your employer is. I'll let you know. Immediately after, Ningyu gave the leader of the Hall of Alchemy a meaningful look. His meaning was clear. The Hall Master of the Alchemy Hall understood. His figure flashed and landed in front of Spirit Fox number 5. In the next moment, a huge spiritual pressure was unleashed from the Alchemist Hall Master's body, pressing down on Spirit Fox 5 without any fear. Not only had the Alchemist Hall Master's cultivation reached the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang realm, but his soul power was also incomparably powerful. Under the powerful soul pressure of the Alchemist Hall Master, it did not take long before Spirit Fox 5 could no longer hold on. Ningyu, I do not know who the employer is. However, I can tell you who issued the mission to the Assassin Pavilion. Spirit Fox number 5 shouted crazily. Let's hear it. Ningyu waved his hand, gesturing for the Hall Master to stop. Who? The spiritual soul suppression on Spirit Fox number 5's body disappeared. Spirit Fox number 5 panted heavily as if he had been granted amnesty. After a while, Spirit Fox number 5 said, There were 2 martial artists who issued the mission. One is called Bao Ming and the other is Tai Xing. Bao Ming and Tai Xing. Ningyu was stunned for a moment before he turned to Ouyang Hai and said, If I'm not wrong, Bao Ming and Tai Xing are your dogs, right? I was wondering why they weren't by your side. So they went to the Assassination Pavilion to issue a mission. Ningyu, the ones who issued the mission were Bao Ming and Tai Xing. It has nothing to do with me. Ouyang Hai still refused to admit it. Whether you admit it or not has nothing to do with me. Ningyu didn't care if Ouyang Hai admitted it or not. In his heart, Ouyang Hai was already a dead man. Ningyu, I will go and get rid of Ouyang Hai. Feng Zi had long disliked Ouyang Hai. Now that this was a chance, he naturally wanted to kill Ouyang Hai personally. However, Ningyu gestured for him to not be impatient. No matter what, Ouyang Hai is the third prince of the Great Xia Kingdom. It is not appropriate for us to do it personally. Ningyu muttered for a moment and said, the important task of killing Ouyang Hai will be handed over to Spirit Fox number 5. Since Ouyang Hai was the one who invited the Spirit Fox team, it is considered a start and finish. Swish. Ouyang Hai wasn't a fool. When he saw that his plan was exposed, he immediately rose from the ground and flew far away. In fact, Ouyang Hai didn't hesitate to ignite his blood essence to increase his speed so that he could leave this place as soon as possible. Swish. But how could Ningyu allow Ouyang Hai to escape? Just as Ouyang Hai flew a few steps, Ningyu blocked in front of him and kicked him in front of Spirit Fox number 5. Do it. I don't wish to hear this a second time. Looking at Spirit Fox number 5, Ningyu said. Third Prince, I was forced by the situation. Spirit Fox number 5 knew that Ningyu was already infuriated. If he delayed any longer, he might also meet with misfortune. Thus, he gritted his teeth and clenched his right fist, smashing it towards Ouyang Hai's head. Spirit Fox number 5, you dare to kill me? Looking at the expanding fist in his eyes, Ouyang Hai yelled in anger. Before Ouyang Hai could finish his roar, he let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Immediately, his body was sent flying. Until the last moment of his death, Ouyang Hai couldn't understand. Why did Ningyu have a martial artist at the peak of the advanced yin-yang realm by his side? Not good. Not far away, when Spirit Fox number 1 heard Ouyang Hai's miserable shriek, his expression turned ugly. Ouyang Hai was the Great Xia Kingdom's third prince. If he was killed here, it would more or less affect the assassination pavilion. Damn it. The only thing I can do now is to kill Elder Tan as well. As Spirit Fox number 1 flew at full speed, he used a secret technique to send a message to Spirit Fox number 4, asking him to kill Elder Tan. Elder Tan suddenly advanced to the middle stage of the yin-yang realm and severely injured me. He then rushed over to your side. Spirit Fox number 4 said anxiously. PFFF. When Spirit Fox number 1 heard the message from Spirit Fox number 4, he was instantly overwhelmed with anger and vomited a mouthful of fresh blood. Truly, when it rains, it pours. Everything seemed to have piled up at the same time. You recuperate first. Leave Elder Tan to me. Spirit Fox number 1 was indeed a martial artist at the peak of the advanced yin-yang realm. After a short moment of panic, he immediately calmed down. Without much time to think, he immediately increased his speed, hoping that he could stop Ouyang Hai from being killed in time. Ningyu, should we kill Spirit Fox number 5 as well? After Ouyang Hai was killed, Li Tongtian swiped his hand across his neck and made a killing gesture. Ningyu, you said that as long as I killed Ouyang Hai, you wouldn't kill me. Spirit Fox number 4 shouted, you can't go back on your words. I did say that I would spare your life. Ningyu frowned and said, I'm not a person who goes back on his words. How about this? At this point, Ningyu paused for a while and then said, I'll cripple your cultivation and spare your life. Swoosh. As Ningyu finished his words, the Alchemist Hall Master immediately moved and appeared in front of Spirit Fox number 5 in the blink of an eye. Spirit Fox number 5 was only at the early stage of the yin-yang realm. In front of the Alchemist Hall Master, who was at the peak of the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm, he had no chance of resisting. Very quickly, his cultivation was crippled. Ningyu, if you can't do it, I can do it for you. Feng Zi seemed a little worried and said in a low voice, leaving Spirit Fox number 5 behind will cause endless trouble in the future. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Ningyu did not seem to take Feng Zi's worries to heart. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.